I'm good, mate. Very, very good. Do you know what? This week is the first time I've started to really feel like myself now. So yeah, I'm
Good.
absolutely buzzing, feeling really good, and yeah, always enjoy the 5 minute rant and the fans forum. And I must admit, everyone at home, when I seen you all putting in the comments, I wondered who's going to be late. We're both on time. We're both here. And we're really excited. Yeah, we've got some fantastic guests waiting as well. So yeah, I'm all ready and raring to go.
Definitely. And look, before we get the guest on, look, we talked about it just before we went on air, but look, Chris, whack it up.
Yeah, do you know what?
Let's
I
do it
spoke
now.
about this earlier, didn't I, Pete? And do you know what? I seen this quote. It was either this morning or yesterday, and I just loved it. So I'm going to read it out to you all for you to have a look. And obviously, if any of the guests want to talk about this as well, please feel free. But this was a quote from Jonjo Shelvey, and it really struck a chord with me. Jonjo Shelvey said after the game, "We weren't at our best yesterday, but sometimes you have to grind out results and credit to Brighton. I apologise for my own performance. I've actually watched the game back twice, but I dug deep and I am proud of my team for doing the same. I honestly thought the fans were absolutely fantastic, and it excites me what this place is going to be like in 3 or 4 years' time, and to keep seeing the results you've had in the past 8 games, but on a bigger scale. The sky's the limit." And do you know what? What I loved so much about that quote is, firstly, Jonjo Shelvey, coming out, and he's said numerous times now how excited he is about the future of the club, and you can tell he really wants to be a part of that. So I think if we do end up offering him a new contract, Pete, I think he'll be signing on the dotted line. But his performances have been absolutely outstanding since Eddie Howe's come in. Probably one of, if not the biggest improver in terms of consistency, and from where he's came from to where he is now. He's an integral part of our team. But what I loved about that quote is, he acknowledged that maybe he didn't have the best game at the weekend, but the fact that he's watched the performance back twice already, and it just kind of shows what Eddie Howe's bringing to this team. I mean, we've seen the interview with Kieran Trippier
Yeah.
on with True Geordie, and we've seen we all the noises that we're hearing out of the club is just all positive, and it's all, everything is just so good at the moment, isn't it? I mean, even the owners are absolutely first class, and all through my timeline, all I ever see is, Mando and Dad are doing this, Mando and Dad doing that, and it's just so good, and it's such a positive vibe at the moment. And I don't know about you, Pete, but I can't wait for Thursday, and I'm genuinely thinking we're going to this Southampton game, and I'm really thinking we can get something.
Yeah. I have to agree. I'll touch on the Shelby bit first. I mean,
Yeah.
I hadn't actually read the quote. I'd seen it when it was tweeted out, but I was kind of off social media for a lot of yesterday. And just reading it there. Does it surprise me? No, because I think Newcastle fans have always had this kind of imagination or an opinion of what Jonjo Shelvey is and how he is as a character, as a person. We could always question what's on the pitch because we can visibly see it. But as a person, we've always had this imagination that he is a certain way, that he's got an attitude or an ego or whatever. But actually, throughout his time at Newcastle, whenever he's had an interview, whenever he's spoken exactly like that. He's always had the utmost respect for Newcastle United as a football club, for the fans, but also the city. He loves being in the city. Now, as a Londoner, and there's this stigma that Londoners don't like living too far north, he loves it. He absolutely loves it. And he says, like, his family are so settled. He loves the city. He loves the people. And it doesn't surprise me that he's making comments like this. You touched on it very quickly, Chris. Not tonight, yeah, I know.
Not tonight.
Maybe tomorrow. but
Yeah, yeah,
but Jonjo Shelvey has probably been, alongside Joe Linton, the most consistent performer
yeah,
since Eddie
yeah,
Howe came in. Probably
yeah.
neck and neck. I don't think Jonjo Shelvey's had a bad game, and actually, he's very critical of himself yesterday against Brighton. I actually don't think he had a bad game against Brighton yesterday. I think the one thing about Jonjo Shelvey, that if you watch the game back, and I've watched it back the whole 90 plus minutes a couple of times now, Brighton actually did a job on him. And if you watch it very closely, they kind of condense the amount of time and space that he has on the ball. And you know, Jonjo Shelvey likes time and space on the ball to be able to play the football he likes to play. So I don't think that's necessarily Jonjo Shelvey's fault. I think that's the fact that Brighton played a certain way to stop him playing, and he actually should take a little bit of confidence in that. In actually, they're going out of their way to stop him playing because they know how influential he'll be to this team. So I don't think he had necessarily a bad game. I don't think he put a foot wrong. I thought he used the ball quite well when he had it. He worked hard, tirelessly off the ball. There was one part quite late on in the game, and I think it's around the time, and I'm sure we'll get into it about this ASM not tracking back late on in the game. All this stuff. Actually, what was really, really good about that, and if you watch it back, is that Jonjo Shelvey takes the lead. He says to Bruno, get behind me and cover my position. I'm going to go to the ball and cover out on the wing. And I looked at that and I thought, you know what? That's a different Jonjo Shelvey. That's a Jonjo Shelvey that's being coached to think a certain way and to think a different way. And his whole performance has changed.
He's taken responsibility, Pete, isn't he? He's taken responsibility and he's owning what he's doing.
Definitely. If anyone's not seen it, just go back it's right towards the end of the game, in the late 80s, early 90th minute of the game, and it's when they're pressing down our left, their right, and Alan St-Maximin, he's had a darting run gone forward, and he's kind of like walking back just past the halfway line. And they press him down that side, and Jonjo Shelvey races over there, and he's literally signaling to Bruno, "You cover me in here, I'm going." And he goes and presses the ball, and he helps Matty Targett out. We'd have never seen that over 6 months ago. We'd have never seen that, not just from Jonjo Shelvey, but from any player. Eddie Howe's got them talking and playing in a completely different way, and it's great to see. So, fair play to Jonjo Shelvey, massive respect, and he'll be the type of player that once he finishes at Newcastle, even if he's still playing at another club, what you'll see on match days is that the camera will cut to the stadium and in the stands, and he'll be there watching games still. He'll be there coming back watching games. You'll see him on the halfway line at half time, taking it in, welcoming the crowd. He'll be in the ex-players lounge before and after games. He'll be part of the club still because he can see where this club's going. He'd love to be a part of it, but at 30 years old, he probably won't see the best of what Newcastle will eventually become. We hope down the line.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's probably looking at it quite enviously, isn't he? I mean, I know Kieran got that wrong. Kieran Trippier alluded to it a little bit, didn't he, with his interview, and he was saying, we're going to try and push year on year and then eventually go for the title. And sadly, it was a bit sad when I heard that, actually, because I thought by the time we're ready to do that, he's probably going to be nearing the end of his career, his playing career. So he probably won't see the best of that, will he? Unless, of course, we really come out the traps next season and we really, really push on. I mean, there's an opportunity to do that, and there's no reason to say why we can't do that. But yeah,
I've got a theory on that. I'm not going to talk about that right now.
Ooh, okay.
Later on in the season, not right now, but I've got a theory on Newcastle United and what we could potentially see in the next couple of years. I've been thinking about it for a while, but for another time, definitely.
Look forward to that. Yeah,
definitely. But look, all the regulars in the chat, Tom Dixon, the main man, Yano already in there, Brian, Terry, Rachel, Jeff, even though Jeff's in the green room, he's in the chat as well. I love it. Same with Tony, Geordie Tune for Life, Trulls, Julie, all the regulars, and many, many more. Welcome to a Monday night, the Fans Forum. And look, we're going to get straight into it. We've had to rejig the order slightly, so I apologize for those guys waiting, but we've got someone that needs ideally this slot now to come on, and he's come back for a little bit more this week, and we welcome in Darren. How you doing, Darren?
Hello, boys. You all right?
You all right, mate?
Not too bad. I was looking forward to the match, and on Saturday I sat back, I watched it, and like how we played. We didn't play great, but we won that way. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
Dan Burn was solid, and he was a man of the match all day long. he won everything in the first half. It looks awesome. The back four looks solid. But I do think he needs to freshen it up a little bit in midfield. It becomes a bit obvious how we're playing. And that's the only thing what worries me.
It's an interesting point. It is. Sorry, Pete, go on, mate.
No, go for it. Go on.
No, I was going to say it's a really interesting point that you make, Davin, and I know a few people are saying that, and obviously a few people in the chat have said it. Funnily enough, about obviously we've got 4 away games coming up, and they're going to be in a short space of time. Like we're playing Thursday, we're playing Sunday. So with these extra games, it could be that Eddie Howe does decide to do that. And when you say that they looked a bit leggy, it wasn't the best performance we've seen over the past few games. But you're absolutely right. The main thing is we got the result, and we saw what we did see was we saw a lot of effort and endeavour, and the players didn't give up. And that's what saw us over the line. And do you know what? I forget who said it. It might have been someone on Loads when we were talking. Somebody said if that was 12 months ago under Bruce,
would have got beat.
We would no way we would have won that game. No way.
Like Murphy, I'm not a. I think Murphy's going to beat everybody's wicket boy this week because he didn't play great, but he gives 100% to 10%. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Should have scored a couple, at least one goal. I think he should have scored. But I think towards the end of the first half, he could have scored, couldn't he? But
it was a fantastic through ball, wasn't it, from Chris Wood?
Mm-hmm.
Set Murphy away. And to be fair, he was unlucky, wasn't he? I mean, some people will be critical and say he should have had it on target. To be fair, I do class the post as on target. I know technically it's not classed as on target, but really, he's as near as damn it. And if it gone a couple of inches the other way, it would have gone in off the post. But yeah, Murphy's a funny one, isn't he, Davin? He's I still don't think he's good enough, and I don't like saying that. He is a Newcastle fan, and he always gives 110%, which is great. But I don't know. I don't
think he's a Premiership player. I think he's a good Championship player. Just my opinion, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. Go on, Pete.
Boys, I like Murphy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy, Pete. I like him.
Look, you know what? I can't disagree with you in terms of he's just not maybe that level to start regular for Newcastle. But you know what I loved about Murphy, and I don't know if you guys saw it. And like I said, I've watched the game a couple of times now. When that second goal goes in, when Shaw scores that second goal, I watched it and I saw something. I thought, I need to rewind that back. So I weren't sure who it was. I weren't sure if it was Willett or Murphy. And Shaw gets that bullet header near post, 2-0 up, and you just see Murphy drop to his knees and he's like, He's talking about celebrating. He's just like, get in, 2-0. And I just love it. And then there's the obvious one. I think it's on Match of the Day where it shows them walking around like clapping.
He's loving he's going to get in, isn't he?
Out, singing. And I'm just
he's loving it.
I love it. And we've got to remember, he's born into a Geordie family. Like he might not have been born and raised in Newcastle, but his family are Geordies. Like there's an element of that you've got to love, just like you love the Longstaffs. Regardless of their plight and their situation right now, you love them because they're Geordies. They've come through the team, and I'll be honest with you, and this is maybe a question for you guys in the chat. If I can see anyone out of our Geordie clutch of players staying next season and beyond, out of the two Longstaffs, Dummett and Murphy, Murphy's probably top of the list. He's probably top of the list out of all of them that could potentially stay at the club. And it's frustrating. I mean, that chip, he did it at Watford last minute of the game and hit it straight at the goal.
Oh, yeah, I know.
He does it all the bloody time. And when he went through, I was thinking, please don't do it. Please don't do it. He does it. I'm like, oh, shit. Then he hits the post, and luckily we get the rebound. He's done it before. And to be fair, he scored at the Etihad a couple of years ago doing the same thing. But, that raw pace, Cucurella, who was...
Murphy gives 110%. He definitely gives 110% every game. And I totally agree with Pete. I'd rather keep Murphy. I'm not a fan of Sean Longstaff. I think it's time for him to move on. I don't think if we want to go that next level, I don't think he's the right man.
Interesting one. Definitely.
Yeah, it's a funny one, that, isn't it? Yeah, I get where you're coming from, Pete. And it's a fantastic question. So yeah, you get the answers in the chat, everyone. Who would you, if you could only pick one, would it be Dummy, Murphy, or Sean Longstaff? Let's say Sean Longstaff. I don't know whether Matty will stay. I still feel like Matty's got more to give as well. I know he's had a couple of loan moves, haven't he, and they haven't worked out. But let's not forget what he did when he first, broke onto the scene under Bruce, and he scored that
But do you
fantastic
think
goal
he'll
against
fit
Man
the
United.
squad of us, get new players though? Like, do you know what I mean? If we're going to, like, in the summer, we're going to obviously sign some better midfield players, and I kind of see Longstaff playing, like Matty playing in midfield. Do you know what I mean? He wants to learn how to play football. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then, do you know what? Oh, sorry, go on, Pete. Go on.
I was going to say, boys, if you look at this squad right now, okay, you've got we're pretty much playing a 4-3-3. So we've got, and I'm thinking of midfielders right now. We're looking at Matty and Sean. You've got Joe Linton playing out of his skin, but he had another great game again. The stats proved it. Joe Willock, maybe not as all out attacking, but he still won the ball back. He worked his socks off. Jonjo Shelvey, not really putting a foot wrong. So you've got three midfielders there. Then you've got Bruno Guimaraes that's there chomping at the bit to start. Then you've got Sean Longstaff. How is Matty even going to get a game? He's playing at Mansfield. With all due respect, he's playing at Mansfield right now in League Two. And on top of that, we're already being linked in the summer with midfielders. I think I saw yesterday there was other links to midfielders.
Boubacar Kamara.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Where is he realistically? Is he going to really want to be sitting on the bench, or maybe not in the squad some weeks, being fifth or sixth choice? I just don't think so. I think something's got to give at this point. He reminds me of, although he's a local lad, he reminds me of that Don Balaza, who was a relatively talented player. He had a couple of games in pre-seasons that were okay, and then he's gone to Rotherham, and he seems to be doing really well there. They're top of the league, looking like going back into the Championship. He seems like a little bit like that. He's going to have a couple of loans, then probably get a permanent move to a League One Championship side. I don't know, and that's just my opinion.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because, like, I had this discussion with you on loads ages ago, and I think this was before the takeover. And we were talking about the January transfer window. It must have been in the summer. We're talking about the January transfer window, and I was saying, like, for example, I would keep, and people may think I'm not saying this, I would keep the likes of Mark Gillespie. And the reason I'd say that is because you need a squad of players, and you need players who are happy to be in the squad, won't cause any upset, won't cause any rowing, won't be saying, why am I not playing? It's players who know their place in the team. And that's why I suppose I was saying that about Matty, in that he's going to get the odd cup game. If there's a massive injury crisis, he might get a run out. If he impresses in training, he might get, I don't know, we might get the odd sub appearance or something like that. But we can't go out in the summer and get rid of 20 players and bring in 20 new players, because chances are the players who we're going to bring in, they're all going to be expecting to play. And you can't keep a squad of 25 happy. You just can't. So you need players in there who can do a job if and when they come in. But they're not going to be knocking on Eddie Howe's door going, why aren't I playing? Why aren't I playing? Or they're not going to be, not putting 100% in training, or spreading rumours, or going, can't believe I'm not playing, he's crap and he's this. But if you've got a player in who knows his place, knows he's part of a squad, they're the kind of players you need. I mean, look at Man City with Scott Carson. Scott Carson is their third choice goalkeeper, but Scott Carson doesn't expect to play. But if he does play, he's all right. Obviously he's getting on, but he knows his place in the squad. And that's what I mean about keeping certain players. And I don't know. And plus, correct me if I'm wrong, would Matty still fall under that quota as well, Pete? In terms of, is it he's too old now?
It finished this season. It finished this
okay.
season.
Yeah, because you need so many homegrown, don't you?
Yeah, it's so he's still homegrown, but he doesn't count as, like, last season, for example.
Development.
He counted that he didn't need to be added to the 25 because he was below the age bracket. But because he's 21 now, and I think he's past the threshold, that actually he would need to be added on as a player in the squad. So that's why they've then loaned him out instead of keeping him. they had to kind of get rid of him, otherwise it'd have been like a Clark or a Jamal Lewis just kind of training every day and not actually playing any football because he can't. So difficult situation. But look,
Matty, if I'm a young player, me personally, I wouldn't want to be playing because he's got his best year ahead of him. But if you want him to stay, not like play the odd game now and again, as a player, me personally, I wouldn't want that. I would want to be playing regular. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah.
And to be fair,
whether or not I'd be happy.
Yeah, he's good enough. He's good enough too. So 1 second. Charles has just said Murphy's 27. Wow, I didn't know that. And think he's reached his peak. Hope I'm wrong though. If we keep him, I would say normally it's around this time. 27 to 31 is normally an outfield player's sort of peak. Maybe 32, depending on. So he's maybe still got some years, but Charles made a great point. 27 years old, when in his time at Newcastle, he's kind of peak like young years as a footballer. He hasn't really played much football. And it goes back to Darren's point: is it does he really want to be staying on the bench, or is he going to be wanting to play regular football? A bit like Matty Longstaff and even Sean. Are they really going to want to stay on the bench at these young ages, or are they going to want to go out there and play football maybe at a lesser standard? It's a great question, and it's a great point there, Charles, as always. But yeah, anything else, Darren?
Matty Targett, he had a great game on Sunday. I thought he looks solid. Our left back, he wins. They were kicking him all day long. Yeah. The amount of tackles he got done to him, the head high tackle that got happened to him, and we had a good game. He's solid.
He just gets on with it,
next season, 100%.
Yeah.
He doesn't do all those things that kind of stand out that are like the wow, like I think this is why I think Aston Villa brought Luca Dean, because Luca Dean has those wow moments, his free kick set pieces, his ability to cross the ball, he's kind of all action, whereas Matty Targett's not like that. But you look at his character, he's not really an outgoing, like out there type of character. He just kind of keeps himself to himself. He goes about his business in a real professional,
simple, doesn't he?
Way. Yeah, and he was great. I've got to be honest, when he rolled his ankle, I was worried. I thought he's coming off. And you know what? It just shows the strength of the guy that he carried on the game. And I just pray that it's nothing too serious that keeps him out of the game, going back to his old club at Southampton on Thursday. I hope that's not the case. But absolutely right. Matty Targett, another fantastic performance.
That's it, boys. Thank you very much. And I'll see you next week.
Oh, yeah. Cheers for coming on, Darren.
Bye.
You can take care.
Bye.
Always a pleasure, Darren. Obviously becoming a regular. He's back to back visits on the 5-minute rant, the fans forum, and it was great to hear some of his points, talking about Matty Targett, the last one, talking about one or two others. Murphy, great discussion there with Murphy. Lots of people in the chat as well talking about Murphy. Would you keep him? Would you not? I think there's a number of people in the chat that are thinking maybe his time is up at Newcastle, but we'll see. I think there was one person in the chat, Chris, that mentioned about it being a 25-man squad. And
Sorry, Tune for Life?
Yeah, could well be.
I was highlighting it, saying I agree with his point. Let me see if I can find it. It was just a bit earlier on.
Find it, that'd be great.
It was a great one.
I've got it. 1 second.
Yeah. Oh, I found it at the same time as you.
It's all right, fans saying Murphy Longstaff will be away, but remember it's 25-man squad, and we probably won't sign more than 5-6 players in the summer, so we'll still need squad players, and it's a great point. Now, I don't know if you saw this, Chris. I only caught it by chance, but there was a lot of people kind of jumping up and down today because the Daily Mail put a story out saying that the likes of Miggy, there was Clark, and a number of other players. I think Murphy.
It was about 8, wasn't there? About 8 players.
That we're all going to be they're all going in the summer, or they're all being checked out. And then there was 1 or 2 in the chat saying, "Oh, what about Lascelles? He needs to go, and this player needs to go." And it's like, hold on a second. we can't go into next season with 12 players.
No.
We need a squad of 25, just like Jordan Team for Life said, and you're absolutely right. Look, if people are thinking Lascelles is going to get sold in the summer, it would be dependent on a number of things. If we have 4 top quality centre backs, which I believe we will going into next season, who they are is another thing. Although I do think Sven Botman will be wearing black and white next season. I think it'll be a case that Lascelles will be questioning his future, maybe request to leave.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, and he still wants to be part of the squad, I think he stays. I think he stays. Yeah. We're potentially going into the new season with 5 centre backs, and there's other people. We talked about Murphy. We talked about Sean Longstaff. If we can get a new deal sorted out, there'll be players that will be signed on with new contracts to be part of the squad. And because we have to have a squad of players. It's as simple as that. And it's part of the building process. We can't just clear out 9-10 players in the summer and replace them with 9 or 10 players. It just doesn't work like that. No, it's a methodical, periodic type of situation. You look at any top team, right? Any top team that does it properly. You look at your Chelsea's, your Man City's, you look at your Liverpool's, they do it over a period of time where they move certain players out. You look at Klopp, what he inherited at Liverpool, okay, as the new manager, and look and look how he methodically got rid of a number of players and time over time, transfer window after transfer window, brought the players in that he wanted, but also got out the players that he didn't see a future on. And now look what they're producing. They're producing a fantastic team that are challenging on all fronts. We will do the same. There is no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's a really good point you make there, Pete. And I want to ask you a question actually, because a few of the names on there was one name missing, which was Lascelles, and I want to ask you about that first. So I'll ask you that, and then I'll ask you the second one. But Lascelles, the reason I think we all agree next season Jamal Lascelles is not a starter in the team. I think we'll all agree with that, and we're all hoping. Well, I think the majority of us are hoping that Fabian Schär gets offered the new deal. So that leaves us with Fabian Schär and Dan Burn. Obviously, we've got Federico Fernandez, we've got Kieran Clark, who I would like. I'd like to maybe give Federico Fernandez one more year. I really would. I think he's a fantastic professional. Yeah, mate. I'm honestly, and when you're talking about, turning players over and would players be happy to be in the squad, I think he's happy to be in the squad. If he was 4th or 5th choice centre back, he's not going to be uprooting trees, demanding moves, demanding to be played. I think that's the kind of player, and he does a job when he comes in. In fairness, he does a job when he comes in. But the likes of Kieran Clark, I think he's done. I think you mentioned Paul Dummett, saying that he's too injury prone. But the second part of my question was about Jamal Lascelles. Do you think there's a possibility that we keep the likes of Fernandez and maybe sell Lascelles? And the reason I ask that is because, one, I think we might get a few quid for Lascelles, and also it would kind of take away that captain problem. The way if Jamal Lascelles isn't in the squad, then we need a new captain. If Jamal Lascelles is still in the squad with Eddie Howe, even if we all think he's probably going to give it to Kieran Trippier, would that potentially cause a problem within the squad? Because Jamal Lascelles will then effectively feel like he's pushed out anyway, and could that create a bit of a bad atmosphere within the squad?
Good question. Do I think it will cause a problem? No. And the reason being is if Jamal Lascelles stays at Newcastle, he will remain club captain, in my opinion. However, I don't think he plays many games, if any.
No, I don't.
So therefore, by default, really, like by process of elimination in terms of the starting 11, Kieran Trippier will effectively become the captain, because Kieran Trippier will play every single game.
Unofficially.
Unofficial, yeah, he'll become the unofficial captain, and he will play every single game when fit. So I think that will be the process. But you've mentioned a good point in that, as a strong character and a strong person that Jamal Lascelles is, just say, for example, okay, so we've got Dan Burn and we've got Fabian Schär. If we go out and sign Sven Botman and we potentially get someone like Tarkowski on a free, are we then going to keep the likes of Jamal Lascelles as a 5th choice centre back? Possibly. Is he going to want to be a fifth choice centre back? Probably not. And that's where becomes a very sort of difficult conversation between the captain and the manager. And I think the manager will say, "You're not going to start. You're going to be fifth choice. It's up to you whether you want to leave. You've been a great servant at Newcastle. It's up to you whether you want to leave." And I think he would decide probably to move on. So it's a good point. He could be quite stubborn and say, "You know what? I'm the club captain. I want to stay. I want to be part of what we're moving forward in," and maybe stay and say, "Right, I want to fight for my place." He might well say that. But I think if we sign a couple of new centre backs, which I think we will, I think he could be sort of like one of those players that moves on. But it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one because, you know, Eddie Howe has always talked positively about Jamal Lascelles as a player. But if you look at all the other centre backs that we've got, you look at Shaw, Dan Burn, you look at Federico Fernandez, even those three, they're all better on the ball than him. And Eddie Howe likes ball playing centre backs. You look at how much of a difference Dan Burn and Fabian Shaw have made to our defence. We look rock solid. And
Yeah,
I'm not just talking from a defensive point of view. I'm talking from a control point of view. We look controlled at the back. We look comfortable. We're not misplacing passes. Good evening, Darren. Darryl, sorry. We're not misplacing passes. We're comfortable. We're building attacks because we're good on the ball. Like, you only have to go back to the Watford game where Lascelles get two really bad passes away and we nearly conceded off the back of that. Eddie Howe's not going to want to make that mistake. I just don't. I don't. So there's going to be a lot of tough questions in the summer. And I think a lot of decisions will be made quite early on. I think there'll be players that will be out the club and sold before we come back on July the 1st for pre-season. I really do. But yeah, it's a great question. Do I think Lascelles will go? I think there's a great chance that he could leave. It will all depend on him and what he wants. I think Eddie Howe will give him the last big decision.
Yeah, no. And the other very small question, I know you want to get onto the guest, Pete. The very other small question was, which won't take you as long to answer, I'm sure. One of the names on that Daily Mail article was Jamal Lewis. Do you think we should keep Jamal Lewis? And the reason, well, I'll tell you my opinion first, and then obviously you give me yours. But for me, I think we keep Jamal Lewis. Hopefully we sign Matty Targett in the summer, or an equivalent player of quality of Matty Targett in the summer. But I think Jamal Lascelles, Jamal Lewis, I think he needs more time. And I do feel a bit sorry for him, that he's been left out. And as we've already highlighted, I think we know why he was left out. But I still feel like there's a player in there, Pete. And again, going back to what we were saying before about having a squad, I think Jamal Lewis would be more than happy to fight for his place in the team. What are your thoughts?
It's a tough one. What would I want? I'd want Jamal Lewis to stay and be sort of a backup or pushing Matty Targett for a start in the team, because I think Matty Targett needs to be signed permanently. That's a given, and I think most Newcastle fans feel the same of how well he's played and how comfortably he's settled in to life at Newcastle. I think it's one or the other. I think it's either Dummett or Jamal Lewis. One or the other will stay at the club. Dummett's contract's out in the summer, so it would be easier to say great servant for the club. Fantastic. I think he must be around sort of 10 plus years now. He must be around sort of that point in time, surely, with what is given at the club. It'll be, thanks for your service, testimonial in the bag in the summer to say great servant to Newcastle United. But with your injuries, it's time to move on and we need to start afresh. Bring Jamal Lewis in, give him a clean run at pre-season, and say, go for it in pre-season. Prove to me that you deserve to be number one in pre-season, and give him a clean run at it. And then you've got two fit and able left backs that can really kind of excel under an attacking theme and ethos under Eddie Howe. But I think it'll be one or the other, Dummett or Lewis. Who I think it will be, who I think it should be Jamal Lewis. It should be. we're in a different spot right now. We need a left back that can get up and down. And I think under Eddie Howe, we started to see before his injury that he was really getting to grips with being an Eddie Howe type of player. We were seeing that it was unfortunate. He had a really good start to the game against Liverpool before he did his hamstring, and he looked really comfortable. And I think with time and training and understanding, I think he could excel again. And having two left backs, 126, 124, perfect. It's exactly what you want. So that would be my choice. But again, big decisions at the club on a number of players this summer. It's going to be really, really interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a fantastic summer. And Geordie Toon for life again, smashing it there. It'll probably take 3 or 4 transfer windows before we have quality on the bench and in the squad. You can't just buy a team and expect them to gel. Just be patient. And I think that's the key, isn't it? Just being patient. We all know we need to upgrade, but it's going to take time. It's going to take 3 or 4 transfer windows. I absolutely agree with Geordie Toon for life there. Great comment.
100%. Always some great points and some fantastic points in the chat. Get your questions in. We've already started a number of questions in. As we talked about last week, obviously we've got a section of this show for the guests, but we've got a question section that will kick in later onto the show where we'll answer all the chatters' questions in there. So yeah, keep them flowing, but we'll keep it moving. And look, hold your hats, guys. You're always in for a treat on a Monday when this guy comes into town. So let's welcome in the main man, Jeff.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Evening, Jeff.
Hello. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Well, that was a great tactical battle, I thought. I thought we played very well because we stopped them playing and we won, right? They were a good team. They're one of the best I've seen.
Yeah,
tactically.
Team. Yeah.
They played a very interesting game. And of all the managers we've come up against, Potter is the one I've got most respect for so far. It was the right, bang from the left. Right, bang from the left. They kept pushing down our right side, cutting the ball back. And there was, Cucurella? That guy?
Yeah, Cucurella. Yeah, he was really good.
Wow, very good. Because they'd spotted that was our weak side, but they held out. You know, they did okay. I don't know what to say about the team other than they're all playing very well. Murphy, you see, good and bad. You know, he made mistakes. Willock made mistakes. Jonjo made mistakes. But they were pressurizing us. They were playing, they were pressurizing us for a change. And they were playing so far up the pitch, right? At some stages, they had 5 people in our box, right? Which was quite scary. But which rather nullified our press. It's very difficult to press a team when they're already halfway into your half. So that was tactically very good. But, our counter-attacking football, perfect. And it was like a reversal of the game last week. We had the possession stats that the other team had. So what can we say about all of that? I'm not sure, really. Everyone's going to say nice things about the players. They're all absolutely fantastic. I even saw Dubravka put a ball onto Fraser's head, which I thought was quite an impressive, move. I sort of want to give Shaw man of the match just for consistently being good. A lot of the time, he was more advanced than Kraft. He was further up the field on that side, which was quite interesting. And
I had Shaw as my man of the match, Jeff.
Yeah. He did the basics well. As you almost don't notice him kicking it out. Kicking it away and heading it away, and they're all very solid. I'm not sure what to say about anybody in particular. 10 shots, 4 on target. They had 7 corners, we had 4. Now, I've been doing some stato stuff.
Oh,
yeah. I looked at what the figures were on the 4th of December, right? Back in the 4th of December, because we're now like 5th of March. Mm-hmm. And we've picked up 18 points since then. Villa have picked up 17, Brentford 11, Burnley 11, Leeds 8, Everton 7, Norwich 7, Watford 7, right? So we've done really rather well. Our goal difference has changed by minus. We've lost 9 in our goal difference in that period. The champions are Norwich, 22. Right, their goal difference has dropped to 22. But I'm not impressed with Everton there. They've only picked up 7 points. Right, it's not good. They've got some
big
games
game tonight as well, Jeff. Big
Yeah.
game tonight for Everton.
Tottenham tonight.
Yeah,
Come on,
games
you
in hand.
Spurs.
Not that we should be worrying about our rivals. I'm not, because one of the advantages we have, apart from having Eddie Howe, is that against the big teams, we've got all week to practice. And I know we've got a bit of a congestion, but we haven't got all those extra fixtures in Europe or in the Cup and all the other things we've ducked out of. So I'm quite optimistic that we're going to pick up points against, some of the other teams that we might not expect to. Because we've really rattled everybody, haven't we? I mean, there's been a lot of very miserable faces out there. And lots of teams pointing at each other and going, well, it's your run. Yeah. But I'm quite impressed with Brighton. Well done. Yes, they gave us a hell of a good game. And that's probably the most competitive game we've had, I think, in real terms. And they look genuinely dangerous at points. And apart from that, anybody got anything interesting to say?
Everything's just good at the moment, isn't it, Jeff?
Yeah.
Just all buzzing.
There is so much to watch. Well, one of the things I thought was ASM, when he came on, right, was much more direct. I don't know if you noticed, he was fairly direct. And he did a nice give and go with Targett at one stage, as we're going to call him from now on.
I can see Alan in the green room.
Alan's laughing his head off.
He knows.
I've stolen that from Alan there.
Brilliant.
So he is being more direct, because that's what we're going to be able to watch. We're going to watch these players improve. We can all see what's wrong. They know what's wrong. And as you were bringing up that interview, the Kieran Trippier interview, absolutely amazing. Well, if you haven't watched it on True Geordie, Brian does an amazing job. And just to have a bloke like that in our club, wow, I'm so proud. He's just such an amazing man. And he thinks about football, and that's what we want. That's why I like Shah. He's thinking. He's looking for the interesting diagonal ball. He's doing things. He's quite a modern sort of player in his right. I'm very impressed. And well done, the crowd. Another fantastic display.
Yeah.
And
superb.
Yeah, and a lot of respect for Ukraine as well while we're here. And I'm not going to hang about, because they're all queuing up to get on here. They're just desperate to talk to you guys.
Yeah.
Well,
And the thought of being in bed with Chris is just so good.
Yeah. I don't know what to say to that, Jeff.
Well,
I was going to say something, but now I won't.
No. Well, there are other channels where it's available for $1.99 to be in bed with Chris.
Yeah. Jeff, that made me laugh so much. That was so funny when I read that.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But big up Kieran Trippier for coming on and bringing up the whole club, the whole atmosphere.
Yeah.
In that we now feel much more included. The players feel included. And I just like everyone to forget their previous prejudices about the long staffs or the this or the that. Trust Eddie Howe, right? Don't start making declarative statements that he'll be gone or they'll be gone. And don't read the Daily Mail ever. Thank you very much. I never want to hear you use that word again.
We won't.
I apologise. But no, it's a great point. I mean, look, with the transfer window, there was a lot of media stuff in various different papers of saying we're going to sign this person or this person's going to leave, and how realistic were a lot of those reports? Not really many of them. I'll probably say 80% of them were a load of rubbish. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. When they talk about all these players going to leave, you have to take it with a pinch of salt.
Well, Jesse Lingard was going to save our season.
Apparently so. And the only one that really knows what's going to happen moving forward is the manager. And the owners at this point in time, they know what they want. The manager knows who he wants to keep and who he doesn't. This has all been in these last 4 months. This has all been kind of an audition. All of these players are under audition in terms of showing Eddie Howe, whether they've got a future at this club. And some of them have outdone themselves, the likes of Joe Linton, the likes of Jonjo Shelvey, Brian Fraser. They've all outdone themselves. They've all shown that they want to be part of this future. Whereas you could argue that one or two of them have maybe tried, but injuries have affected that. And some of them just haven't done enough. And it's going to be a case of. It's going to be a case of, a lot of what we think is going to happen may not necessarily be the case. I can't predict with Newcastle United at the moment, because we are transforming so quickly and so rapidly, and they're thinking so far ahead and so much more ambitious than we are, because there's part of us there's still a percentage of us that's still stuck in the Mike Ashley areas, that we just don't realise how ambitious.
Any news on Chowdhury? Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the thing, Chowdhury is back to playing, a bit part role in centre back for Leicester.
Yeah. Well,
there's everything you need to know.
Well, I think I always come back to Perez. When people start muttering about paying all that money for Wood, they paid 30 million for Perez.
Yeah.
Right.
And he can't even get off the bench.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many times he started for Leicester this season? In the Premier League.
Yeah.
He's barely started. And there were times this season where Vardy, where Daka, and Iheanacho all were injured, and he still couldn't get a starting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And he's playing under a very good regime, really. They sort of know what they're doing in Leicester. I've got quite a bit of time for them. So yeah, and I've got a feeling that Almiron falls into that category a bit of somewhere where he's not quite fitting into any category, because I don't think he's got the physical body strength, and to be a defensive player like a Robbie Savage. He'd make a great Robbie Savage if he was mean, but he's not. He's too nice a guy, and it's also a bit of a problem when you're up front, because in the Premiership you've got some very big units to deal with. Yeah. Right, and they'll just shrug you off the ball, So, so whether he's suited for the sort of our game, I don't know. But maybe Eddie Howe can change it.
What do you boys think then, Jeff? I'll start with you. I mean, do you think Miguel Almiron will be here in August for next season, or do you think he's going to move on in the summer? But there's been a lot of talk about it recently, about Miguel Almiron kind of, saying he wants to talk to the club in the summer. Do you think he's going to go, you know what? I can see where Newcastle are going. I want to fight for my future here. I want to be part of the new era, like Jonjo Shelvey did yesterday. Or is he thinking, you know what, I'm just going to go and play somewhere where I can play every week and be comfortable? What Jeff? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think he's a bit MLS. He's a bit lightweight, physically lightweight. And he hasn't got it is all right if you've got the fantastic skill set. You could be lightweight, you could be Mo Salah. You don't have to be a big unit. You could just have the skill set. But he hasn't quite got that either. So I think he's sort of stuck there. And I don't quite know what his best position is, ideally. But these are all things you can work on in training, and that, you can condition yourself. And we've seen a lot of players who've started out a bit lightweight and get shugged off the ball all the time. But they've done the training, they've put the weight work in, and, they've come up with something. But I do think he'd be better off in a different league, actually. I think he'd be better off on the continent, perhaps Spain. Portugal. Yeah, somewhere like that, which would suit his skill set better. But it's lovely. He's got that enthusiasm for it and a joy, and we all enjoy it. But
yeah,
you need a bit more, I think, probably at this level. Hate to have to say that.
No, I think it's a fair point. Chris, what are your thoughts on Miguel Almiron? Do you think he'll be one of the first out the door, or do you think, as I mentioned to Jeff previously, is he going to be one that's going to be banging on the door saying, I want to be part of this future at Newcastle and give me a chance to show what I'm all about?
Yeah, he's an interesting one, Miggy. I mean, as you know, Pete, I always made allowances for Miggy, and I always defended Miggy, because with him, I always saw the effort, and I always saw, he never gave up. He chased lost balls. He put 100% in for the cause. So I was always, defending Miggy. However, I think under this new ownership, under Eddie Howe, I think the fact that he's not getting very many minutes under Eddie Howe speaks volumes. I think Jeff makes a really good point when he said, about him maybe not being suited to the league. I think he's absolutely right. I think there's potential there, and I do think somebody will get the benefit of him, but I just don't necessarily think it will be us. Jeff was saying about him being lightweight, and I completely agree. And unfortunately, I don't think he's technical enough, and I don't think he's got that footballing brain. And I do think you can get away with one of the two as long as you've got the other. And I don't think he's got either, and that's the trouble. He's very, very lightweight, very quick, but every time he gets in that final third, like if Miggy's through on goal, or if Miggy's on 3 against 1, I'm never confident he's going to do it. I'm never confident, and that's a concern. So for me, and somebody put this in the chat earlier, for me, I personally think that he will be used as a make weight, because I do think he's valuable. I think you're talking 10-15 million, and I do think that somebody will pay that for him. So whether we use it as say we sign someone and go, we'll give you Miguel Almiron, I think that's probably what will happen, and it's a shame because I really like him, but I don't think his long-term future's at Newcastle.
No, I think both of your points are valid. I really do on Miggy, and it'd be interesting to see first off how his future lies, and if he does eventually leave the club. Interesting to see how much we get for him, because we paid 16 million with a view to paying 20 plus for him. Will we get that maybe 20 million back if another club picks that up, or will we sort of take a loss on him? That'll be an interesting one. But I think the market's going to be.
I think it's going to be an interesting market this summer. I think valuation is going to be a lot lower than people expect, because there's going to be a lot less money kicking around because of the state of the game generally.
Yeah,
and this business with the Russians is going to unsettle all sorts of things, basically. And I think Almiron is going to be a 10 or 12 million pound player, to be honest, in the current market. That would be my guess.
Yeah, you might be right, Jeff. You might be right.
I think we're going to see players selling for less than we expect.
Yeah,
I think the Trippier deal was a good indication of the sort of value you can get.
Yeah,
because whatever we paid for him was peanuts.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Absolutely peanuts.
12 million.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, you pay that for a championship defender. If you're trying to get somebody off.
Yeah, you would.
If you're trying to get somebody out of Blackburn or something,
We were quoted more for the likes of Lloyd Kelly, who's just the centre back at Bournemouth. They were looking at only 15, 20 million for him. So you're absolutely right. We're getting a La Liga Champions League, La Liga winning right back who's an England international who played at the Euros for 12-13 million. It's laughable, really. It really is.
Some of the best
Jeff, I was just going to say, look at Nathan Patterson from Rangers. He signed for Everton. He's only made 12 senior appearances, and they paid 16 million for him.
Ooh. Yeah,
crazy.
I think with the troubles at Chelsea and stuff, I think the market's going to be a bit flat for a while.
Which can only be a good thing for us.
Yeah, good for us.
Good
for football generally, actually. I think it's good for football generally.
I agree. Jeff, it's been an absolute pleasure. Love to have you on. Made some really, really good points tonight. Some fantastic talking points, which people in the chat are already chatting away and giving their opinions on. Absolutely spot on. Always a pleasure. Never, ever a chore. And look, it wouldn't be right for me to let you go without giving you one of these.
Cheers, gentlemen. Good luck, Alan.
Cheers to you. You take care, Jeff, and we'll hopefully speak to you next week.
Will do.
Take care, Jeff.
Yeah. Brilliant to have Jeff on. absolutely spot on. Made some really, really good points tonight with regards to, interesting point is Jeff left about the market. I think he could be right, the market, in any market, whether it's up or down, we're always going to sort of benefit from it, because if it's a market of high spending, we're because of our wealth, we will have the money there to be able to buy players. But if it's a market that's slightly cheaper, we will be able to benefit from that, because one, we'll be able to pay the going rate at that particular time, and we'll be able to take advantage of that, and we'll be in a position where we can bid with the best of them. So it'll be a really good situation, that's for sure. But great to have Jeff on. Before we go anywhere to a talking point, or we go to another guest, we are back with the talking sponsors. So I'm going to run through the sponsors. I apologise if I'm a little bit rusty, because it has been a while. We got very much accustomed to the old Steve video, but we'll come back to it. So, if it works, yes, it's on. Spider VPN for all your internet securities. They are the boys to trust. So if you want to protect your computer online, Spider VPN. Massive support to NUFC Matters for a long time. They've been one of our NUFC Matters top supporters. So big thank you to all of the guys at Spider VPN. Get involved there. And we have Skips and Bins. So skipsandbins.com, telephone 0800 254 5253. For emails, inquiries at skipsandbins.com, and website www.skipsandbins.com. Easy contract, free and pay as you go waste collection. Sir Bobby is the one to trust and will always look after you. LNG Family Funerals Directors, contact them on 0191 389 7245. And we have Garden of Healing Dispensary. We've got CBD, hemp and cannabinoid specialist at www.thegohd.com. We've also got Arcot Interiors. So thanks to Arcot Interiors, we can find them on Heaton Road. They are the boys to trust with all things kitchens. And we also have John Justice Allen, big supporter of NUFC Matters, at QTech shop.co.uk. That makes the pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle. We've got a new sponsor, a new one. Thanks to also everyone at Cleakai. You can find Cleakai at clearun.game, also on Google Play and also App Store. Meet the new Game Over screen dropping to a Clearun device near you. If you haven't got it, go get it now. Jab Signature at jabsignature.co.uk for all their clothing wear. Get involved, have a look, see what's on offer. And big shout out to Media Arts that do all the media related stuff for NUFC Matters. Big supporter of the channel. And also Newcastle Legends. Newcastle Legends logo. If you're a first-time visitor, click the link down below. Hit the thumbs up to like or to share as well. And if you can't watch live, check it out on iTunes and Spotify. It'll be up within 24 hours of the show going live, and then you can listen as you're out and about. Make sure if you're wanting to become a member and you want to be part of the membership pack, scan your code here and become a member of NUFC Matters, and you could be in with getting some goodies, as you can see on the screen. You can become a cult member, scarves, pens, cups, various different things as part of your membership pack. And of course, if you are not a subscriber to Loaded HQ, you're not doing it right. Get involved, join the Loaded family, become a subscriber, and if you choose to, become a member of our team. Lots of fantastic content, including tomorrow. We have the pleasure of Andrew Musgrove from the Chronicle joining us to talk all things Newcastle United and to look and overlook over the last 100+ days of Eddie Howe. So it'll be really, really interesting and an absolute pleasure to have Andrew Musgrove from the Chronicle come and join the Loaded team. So check that one out. The Dog and Parrot, come and join the Dog and Parrot with all things Newcastle United. Super Matt will be doing the talking before the game. Had the pleasure to join him a couple of weeks ago at the Aston Villa game. Great talking, great vibe, fantastic people there. Really, really good to see and put some names to faces. Right, we are there. That felt like a marathon. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, you've done really well, mate. Considering we've not done it for a few weeks.
Definitely, but look, we'll get moving on because we've still got guests waiting, and he's waited very patiently. Jeff got in just ahead of him this week, but he's back, and I'm sure he's got some fantastic points that he wants to share. Welcome in, Alan. How you doing, Alan?
Good in, lads. Well done. Thanks, Jeff, for beating us again.
Definitely.
Sorry, Chris. Pete, sorry.
I was going to say, talk to us. 8 games unbeaten, Alan. How good does that feel?
It feels absolutely fantastic, Pete. Absolutely fantastic. It was a poor performance, lads. I watched the game at 2:30 on Sky TV Demand. I thought the passing was very poor, lads. I've got to admit. I thought the passing through, but what a huge win. Huge win. And what I like the most, lads, because I haven't been able to get a ticket for the last 2 home games, and it suddenly dawned on us, Chris, Pete, I don't think I'll ever get a ticket for a away game ever again. It really did. It dawned on us I'll never be able to see the lads away from home again. So that was a frightening thought. But was great watching Sky, lads, on Saturday. I know it's not your favourite show, Pete, but Dan Burn running into the crowd and meeting his family was a great moment, and I was jumping up and down for the lad. Great. My personal man of the match, lads, is Lascelles again, because he was on the bench, and it was great to see him on the bench. But I had to pick somebody. It would be Fraser. I think he was fantastic. Scoring the goal, running his heart out. He was absolutely fantastic. Regarding the point about players, Chris, I saw the article in the Mail, I dare say it, and I even saw it in the Times. I had the list of players, and it grew actually, Chris. I've got 11 down here. And my point would be not who would be sore, lads, but who would actually keep between Almiron, Darlow, Lewis, Clark, Longstaff, Shaw, Fernandez, Gale, Hayden, Dummett, and Lascelles. Who would we actually keep? You know, I mean, I agree with what the comment was, Chris, Pete. You can't get rid of them all in one go. It's just impossible. So who would you actually keep for next season would be the main point for Eddie Howe. And let's face it, lads, he's done a tremendous job. I mean, he's been swimming in a swimming pool of crap, and he's starting to get rid of them. You know, you can imagine he's been starting from the shallow end, and he's just getting to the 3-foot end, lads, and we've still got a long journey to go. We've got 4 tough away games now, so I'm not saying we're safe, lads, because we're running. The last 4 games are horrendous as well. So I'm like every Newcastle fan, I've still got the actually thing, and if we quite easy could get beaten these 4 games away, lads, and then our attitude will change. I'm not putting a damper on it, but could quite easily change. So if we get 13 points out of these 4 games, because we get a bonus point for winning them all 4, I think we should do. No, but realistically, I'll be happy with 6. If we're 34, even 7, I think it would be tremendous effort if we've got 34, 35 points after
it'd be unbelievable.
Absolutely
unbelievable.
Tremendous achievement.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, Chris, for your fellow Scousers, I'd just love it if we beat Everton.
Mate, I'm going to be in the
away games.
I can't
Chris,
wait.
I would just love to beat Everton again. Do the double over them again. But regarding everything else, it couldn't be better. It couldn't be better. You know, I mean, has anybody heard any whispers about Wilson when he's coming back? It's went quiet again, isn't it? It's, you know, I've had calf injuries, Pete, and they do take a long time. They do take a long time. So when he got injured against Man United, I knew it wasn't going to be a month. I just knew it. I just hope, you know, that, you know, like a couple of weeks, you know, like you could see him training and it would be good. But, you know, Eddie Howe should be the manager of the month, you know. There's no doubt about that. And to see when 14th, I think that's where we'll finish, lads. I think we'll finish 14th. I hope it's higher, but every place counts. And, you know, I said it before, you know, the more higher we go up, the more better it'll be for signing players in the summer. It really is. People, I don't think people realise that. It will matter where we're finishing the league. I'm just hoping that Dan Ashworth signing will be announced as well in the coming weeks, lads. I know he's on gardening leave, and I know I'm getting off the point, but I just want another break in the actual going forward.
Yeah.
The story of positivity. If he gets announced that he's, you know, director of football, it'll be another massive step. I mean, I saw Man United game yesterday, and they're in meltdown, absolute meltdown. Nothing going right for them club, and I was laughing my head off like Michael Richards in the studio. He was laughing at Man United, and you know, Roy Keane doing his dinger. Great to see them in turmoil. Absolutely great. You know, so but it shows you the blueprint. We've got to get things right on the inside in the club, director of football, the grassroots level, because it does need a lot of work, lads. And I agree, 4 or 5 quality players in the summer, and 4 or 5 out, and a gradual progression of the players that we've had are out the door, and in 2 years' time, we'll wonder, you know, where's that player gone? Where's Almiron gone? Where's this player gone? Where's that gone? But I do believe, I do trust in Eddie Howe, and I think we've got to all get behind the club now. It's going to be tough, the next 4 games. I'm looking forward to them. Our record down at Southampton, Chris, is very, very bad. So fingers crossed and everything goes well. I'll let you go, lads, because I think everybody's been waiting enough, especially after the adverts. I thought...
the adverts took half an hour.
But Jeff got in before us. But no, there's nothing much to complain about, lads. And like I say, it's going swimmingly. And long may it continue. There was a great article, like you say, Chris, about Shelvey, you know, at the start of the programme. And that's what we want to hear. Let the players be more integrated in the team and, you know, like get that camaraderie. And that's what we want. I just hope ACM doesn't sulk a lot. I do hope he plays on Thursday night. And that's me. And I do want, you know, like Mancur to play instead of Kraft. But Eddie Howe seems to be a manager that doesn't, once they're winning, is not going to change it. And you've got to earn your place. And I think that's how he plays it. I really, really do. Yeah, so it wouldn't surprise us. And I do agree with you, Chris. Final point, that Murphy isn't good enough, Pete. And I know where you're coming from. So hard when the lad, and he could be a good squad player, but he isn't good enough. If you want to move forward, he's good enough for 14th and 10th, but he isn't good enough to get you in the top 6. Anyway, I'll let you go, lads. Let you think on that. But Eddie Howe for manager of the month. Let's hope it's right, Chris.
1,000,000%, mate. 1,000,000%. Yeah.
Cheers, lads.
No,
thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Alan. Take care.
Cheers now. Thanks.
Take care, mate.
No, great point. Great point.
Yeah.
With regards to Murphy, is he a player that's going to take you into the top six? Is he a player that's going to get you at the upper echelons of the Premier League? Probably not.
No.
So it's a really, really good point to finish on. But he raised a good point about Dan Ashworth. We haven't really talked about him much. We hear a little bit about him, but he's at this point in time, he is on gardening leave. There is a lot of talk of, Brighton wanting a lot of money in order to release him so he can take over the reins at Newcastle now. There is a lot of talk saying his gardening leave could last for as long as into September, into the brand new season, which is not ideal at all. We wouldn't want that at all. We'd want him in so he could really oversee what's happening at Newcastle, back end of the season, certainly into the summer as part of that rebuild. So I'm hoping that Newcastle come to some form of agreement quite soon that he can oversee and look at what's happening so we can start to make those changes now and negotiate and be part of some of those deals that we make in the summer. But we'll have to wait and see on that. Question for you, though, that Alan mentioned is about Wilson. Obviously, we haven't heard anything about Wilson whatsoever. Just before I say that, Tottenham have taken the lead against Everton.
Oh,
Harry Kane scored. So
wow.
it is 1-0. Keeps Everton right down in the doldrums in the depth of that relegation battle, which is wonderful to see. Wonderful. And to be fair, I've got the game on my phone.
Yeah, I've got it. I'm watching it myself, Pete.
The goal's been coming. Spurs have been all over them.
Ben Davies puts it in. Ryan Sessegnon runs to the byline, crosses it. Kane near post. I think. Do you know what the camera was zooming in on Michael Keane, as it always seems to do whenever Everton can see the goal. Oh,
it's an own goal.
Buries it. Michael Keane buries it.
I tell you what,
wow,
that could go on the highlight reel of some of the best goals ever scored.
Yeah, that was a good finish. That it was, but yeah, it's typical of his luck. Michael Keane, he's not having a good time as an Everton player, really not.
And he was linked with us in January at some point.
Jesus,
and,
no.
Definitely a great decision not to take that on. But yeah, Alan made a point about Callum Wilson. Is that we haven't actually been talked about him having a return date. What was interesting though is that Eddie Howe had mentioned that he's been doing a lot of work. He hasn't yet started his work outside on the grass, which doesn't give us much confidence in terms of how long it's going to take when he is back on grass before he's ready to actually get into games. I would imagine he would maybe need at least a couple, maybe 3 weeks of intense work on the grass before he's ready to play, which it kind of throws the question out, when are we actually going to see Callum Wilson back?
I know. Do you know what, Pete? I think that there was murmurs, wasn't there, a while back that we might see him in March. Based on what you've just said, obviously what Alan updates us on. If he's not even back on the grass, you're looking at April, aren't you? And I tell you what, again, controversial. And I'm not saying this is the case, but stranger things have happened, and we know with Newcastle you can never predict what's going to happen. If in the summer, Pete, we go and bring in maybe 2 strikers, which is what we said we need. Obviously, Dwight Gale's got to go. And then, so we need a replacement for him. And then maybe you could argue we need another striker. Could it be that, we're tempted if someone put in a reasonable offer for Callum Wilson, would we consider letting him go? I'm not saying we do, but I'm just playing devil's advocate here because 2-0.
I tell you what, it's raining goals at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Son with a second. Wonderful goal. The famous celebration.
He's still doing it now. Oh, wow.
And Tottenham are running riot, which is wonderful to see, to keep Everton down there, to make their goal difference a little bit worse. And they look like they are falling apart right now. And Kieran Trippier's very, very good friend,
Oh,
Jordan
Jordan
Pickford.
Pickford, mate, right
This
through
is-
the hands, right
he-
through the hands.
I tell
Wow,
you what, question mark. Is Jordan
wow.
Pickford a Geordie, because he's certainly helping us out right now. It was true. It was
Oh, it's
dreadful.
awful. It's awful.
He's
It's
literally,
awful.
literally let it go through his hands, through his
Yeah.
body, and into the middle of the goal. It was bad. So if you're not seeing it, check that one out. Yeah, but sorry, Chris, you carry on, mate.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying it. You know, say someone comes in. I'm not saying they're going to, and I'm not saying that we should sell by any stretch. But I'm just, you know, as I say, I'm just looking at it, and maybe they're thinking he's on a good wage. He's not getting any younger. Could it be that the owners might look to move Callum Wilson on? And again, I'm talking mainly not performance wise. I'm talking from an injury point of view, because the lad struggles to string a long series of games together. And I know that's not his fault. You know, he wants to be out on the pitch more than anyone. I know he does, but you can't rely on him. And this is the problem, Pete. You can't rely on him. And I know that we're going to bring in other players in the summer, so maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit. And maybe they'll think, you know what, if he's in and around the squad, that's great. But what are your thoughts on that, Pete? Do you think it's something that you know, Eddie Howe might look at and think, do you know what, if we've got a 25-man squad, I want the majority of my players fit all the time. I don't want to be carrying injuries. I mean, look at Paul Dummett. Same, different position, obviously, but same kind of thing. It's a waste of a squad number if he's not fit for 40-50% of the games through the season.
It's a great question. Do I think Callum Wilson will be sold this summer? No, I don't. I think he stays at Newcastle United. Do I think he's first choice? No, I don't think he'll be first choice. And I think, you know what? I think Callum Wilson's frustrations, certainly when he first had the injury, and certainly in the month of January, I think his frustrations on his podcast and the things that he was saying in the media was really, really clear. I don't think Callum Wilson's been happy since he's been injured, obviously because he's not playing, but I think he knows that this was his opportunity to prove not only his fitness, but also that he's the main man to start week in, week out, because I'm convinced that in this summer, we go out and get ourselves a top level striker who will start every game. And Callum Wilson knows this. Callum Wilson knows that not only is his starting berth up for grabs, the number 9 is as well. And I wouldn't be surprised that the striker that we get in the summer not only takes the starting berth in the team, I think he could potentially take the number 9 too. And I think he knows at this point. And let's face it, you've got a Newcastle team that's only going one way when we confirm our status in the Premier League, and that's going up. And that's what Callum Wilson's always wanted. He's wanted to be part of a team that's going in the right direction. Callum Wilson, with his lengthy injuries, or any other team that are pushing in the top half of the table, going to take a risk on him? Because we're not going to just sell him off for peanuts. We're going to want money for him, because we know when he plays, he scores goals. So is he going to go to that team that's going to be pushing at the top end, or is he going to go to that team like a Watford or like another team that he'll be the main man, he'll start every week, but he won't be challenging at the top end like a Newcastle will in the future.
No.
So he's come to a crossroads, and I think that's why he's frustrated, and I think that's why he's so desperate to get back into the team. And Kieran Trippier alluded to the fact about how hard Callum Wilson's been working to get back, and how many hours he's been putting in the gym in order to strengthen his calf to get back into the team, because he knows when he's fit and ready to play, every game that he plays is absolutely crucial in him proving his worth to Newcastle United long term. He's just turned 30. He just turned 30, so he's at that point now where people are going to consider him on the decline. So he's got a lot to prove. And I love Callum Wilson. I think he's a proper striker.
Yeah, he is.
If playing regular football and scoring goals like we know he can, I think for me, he's the backup to Harry Kane, ahead of the guy that's currently playing right now in Dominic Calvert-Lewin, There's also
miles ahead of him.
United, and I do not rate Dominic Calvert-Lewin at all. I do not rate, and I never have rated him as a player. I think Callum Wilson is streets ahead of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. The problem is that, and maybe not this season's probably not a good example, but the problem is that Dominic Calvert-Lewin tends to stay fit more often than Callum Wilson, and that's the big problem. So there's big questions there, big questions to answer with regards to Callum Wilson's future at Newcastle.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree, mate. Anyway, Pete, we better crack on with these guests because we've got 3 in the chat, and I'm conscious. I'll tell you what, we've had some fantastic questions in, so we're going to have to snap it up because we're on an hour and 20 already. I've noticed, so I'll let you move on.
Yeah, let's do it. Next guest in, regular to the chat, and he's been waiting very patiently. Welcome in, Tony. How you doing, Tony?
Yeah, not bad, you lads. How you doing?
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah. I was up there on Saturday, and great result. Not the best performance, but who cares? I don't care as long as we get 3 points. That's the main part of it, the 3 points. And if you can win ugly, it doesn't matter. You know?
Yeah.
And I mean, in the second half, we sort of like backed off a little bit and allowed them to get a goal back. But then I just thought, they were pushing, but for some reason I just thought, no, we're just going to hold on now and we're going to scrape this through 2-1, you know. I originally thought 2-0 we would win, so to win, you know, but to get the 3 points, it's like absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, Tony. I mean, what was the atmosphere like at the game, Tony? I know. Obviously, I saw it at home, so obviously I was watching the game. But the atmosphere looks incredible. You know, obviously the War Flags put on a fantastic display as they always seem to do. But what was the atmosphere like pre-match, and was the confidence there? Did you get the impression that everyone thought, yeah, we've got 3 points today? Yeah,
I mean, the atmosphere was absolutely brilliant. Couldn't fault the atmosphere one bit, pre-match and during the game as well. I know, like I say, at times it was a bit hairy when we were only winning 2-1. And obviously, where I was sitting in the Milburn paddock at the other end, the Gallagher, obviously I didn't see it towards the end of the match, but I saw Eddie Howe's comment that he said he's had his heart in his mouth when Bruno decided to do a pirouette in the box.
I know. Oh, mate.
Because I could see the fans down the other end screaming, and I'm thinking, oh, God, are they on goal or something, you know? And, but yeah. But then he's got that confidence to do that. That's what makes him a great player. You know, he's got the own confidence in his own ability. So, but no, the atmosphere was absolutely brilliant. The War Flags was brilliant as usual. And when they were holding up the letters, how we the lads in the Leazer's end.
Yeah.
And then obviously NUFC in the Gallagher end, absolutely fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, can't fault the atmosphere at all. It's a different atmosphere now as well.
It is. And it must make it more daunting. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah,
it's far more daunting as an opposition player coming to St James's Park. I think we've got that cauldron back, haven't we? We've got that.
Yeah.
We've got that really, a place where nobody wants to come and play Newcastle. I don't care if you're City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham. I don't care who. No one will fancy coming to Newcastle. No one will think, oh, we turn up here and get 3 points. Which over the recent years, that's exactly what clubs used to think. They used to think, oh, just come to Newcastle and just get our 3 points and get off. But I don't think clubs feel that way anymore. And the fact we've got 8 games unbeaten will only add to that, Tony, won't it? I mean, out of interest, Tony, who was your man of the match for the game on Saturday?
Well, I think the whole team done well collectively. I mean, I thought Fraser was brilliant again. Shaw was absolutely brilliant again. Took his goal well. Well, from what I could see, as I say, because that was down at the other end. Shame we didn't get no goals in the Gallagher end, you know. But yeah, if I had to pick a player, I would probably go Shaw maybe. But and I thought even Kraft had a good game.
He did,
and he gets a lot of stick
solid enough.
And, I mean, he done that one mistake at West Ham, and but who doesn't make mistakes? Like Little Arms has just made one there tonight, hasn't he?
He's made more than one over the course.
He's made more than one, but yeah, that one tonight though. his arms weren't long enough, were they?
I love it. Love it.
But no, like I say, Saturday it was absolutely great, and yeah, to get the 3 points is absolutely brilliant. And I replied on your tweet yesterday, Pete. When you go back, we hadn't won in the first 14 games, and all the pundits said no team has ever stayed up from this. No team's ever done it. Newcastle won't do it. They'll go down. They'll get relegated. 12 games later, 28 points, 14th in the table. We've now slammed that stat back in their face, and records are there to be broken.
Yeah, no, they are, and that's 2 records in a row now, isn't it? Obviously beating Brentford and then beating Brighton.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back, probably going back about 10 years, maybe longer, I don't know. But if you think when Brian Robson was manager of West Brom, they always said the team bottom at Christmas always went down.
Yeah.
And they stayed up, if you remember.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
You know, so as I say, records are there to be broken.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. And under this ownership and under this manager, Tony, there's no reason why we can't keep breaking records this season. I mean, like we spoke about very briefly earlier, Eddie Howe is surely a shoe-in for manager of the month, surely.
Yeah.
And like we said, I mean, it's early days, and I know there's still work to be done. Yeah. But if he gets us finishing 14th or above, like say for example we finish like 12th or 11th, if he manages to do that and that's our final position, he's got to be in with a shout of manager of the season. He's got to be.
Yeah.
And you still get these lazy journalists coming out saying, "Oh, they've bought the way out of it. They've it's Saudi money, it's all stuff like that." And it's so far from the truth. I mean, our biggest improvers this season have been players who looked like they were, on the way out of Newcastle, no good. The reason for our resurgence, really, if you look at it, is from the players that are already at the club. That's why we're in the position we are now, because Eddie Howe's coached them and he's got the team all fighting for each other and all playing to a far higher standard than what they were before.
I mean, we brought 5 players in January, so we've got Trippier out injured at the moment. We've got Bruno who can't get a start, so that leaves then Burn, Targett, and Wood. But the rest of the players, Eddie Howe's got a tune out of them players.
Yeah.
And, look what he's done with Joe Linton. He's looked at Joe Linton and thought, right, let's move him to a different position, try him there, see how he does. Maybe Eddie Howe watched videos of when he was at Hoffenheim, because didn't he play on the left for Hoffenheim?
Yeah, he used to play from the left, and it was funny. It's funny you say that, Tony, because I remember when we signed Joe Linton, and I had me Dennis Wise head on, and I was on YouTube, and I was checking him out and all that, and all his runs where it showed, he was his involvement in goals or scoring goals, all his runs came from deep, all of them.
Yeah.
And I don't know much about Hoffenheim, and maybe I'd need to study them a bit more to see his actual role. But I believe he played predominantly like left wing. That's he wasn't an out and out striker. He wasn't a left midfielder. But Eddie Howe has placed him on the left of a central 3, and it's just he's just absolutely phenomenal. He really is, and he's slowly becoming one of my first players on the team sheet every week. I think if we were missing Joe Linton in a game, I'd think, shit, we're in trouble here. But every time I see him on the team sheet, I think, you know what, we're getting a performance today out of Big Joe. And every game he's put a shift in. Every game.
It's like we've got, obviously Shaw and Byrne now playing well as a centre half pairing, and obviously Jamal Lascelles can't get in the team. To be honest with you, when the England team comes up, I think Byrne should get a call up, because I'm not being funny. He's a lot better than what that Maguire is. I know Maguire plays well for England, but he doesn't seem to play so well for Man United.
Yeah. You know what, Tony? I think this England call-up, this England squad in a couple of weeks' time is going to be really interesting. And it's going to be really interesting from a Newcastle point of view. And for one of the reasons is the reason that you've just said, is that I don't see many better English centre-backs right now in the Premier League than Dan Burn. I really don't. Now, some of the regulars that get picked, of course, Harry Maguire is going to get picked because he's Harry Maguire to Gareth Southgate, and he loves him. John Stones has barely kicked a ball. Although he played in the Euros, he's barely kicked a ball. He played yesterday, fine, but he barely kicks a ball. Tyrone Mings has been horrendous, who normally gets picked. He has been dog awful, right? And then you've
Joe
got
Gomez.
Joe Gomez barely kicked a ball in about 2 years. You've got Tarkowski.
Ben White. Yeah.
Who's playing shocking. Ben White. Okay, fair enough. He could be called up. But I think Dan Burns in with a great shout. And I think he would be very, very unlucky. And this is not just Newcastle form. This is in the build-up to moving from Brighton to Newcastle, because he was there. He was quite obviously Brighton's best defender. And the Brighton fans were saying that in the build-up throughout that whole January window. They were loving how well he was playing. And actually the pundits were saying how much better he's made this football team in Brighton. You know, you look at the game against Chelsea where he absolutely man-marked Lukaku out the game. He bossed away at Goodison Park and scored a goal against Everton where they really comfortably won the game. He literally ran the show. And I think it'd be very harsh if he didn't at least get a phone call from Gareth Southgate to acknowledge his performances. Regardless of his age, I think someone like him playing the way he is, you need to play confidence players and players that are in a good point right now. That's just my opinion. But I think he's well in the chat. The other one, Joe Willock. Joe Willock, it would do no harm for Gareth Southgate at 22 years old to say to Joe Willock, you know what, you're playing well, you're scoring goals, you're playing in an attack-minded team now, not a previous manager team in Steve Bruce where you're just defending on your 18-yard box. You're actually playing progressive football, you're winning balls half the pitch, you're scoring goals, your stats are good, you deserve at least a call-up and maybe a few minutes on, getting your first cap. There'd be no harm in them doing that for Joe Willock right now and to give him that confidence. I think it'd be very harsh that both of those two players miss out on this current England squad. I really do.
Especially, Pete, especially when these two games coming up are friendlies against Switzerland and Ivory Coast.
Exactly. Great point.
You know, and then you've got the Nations League coming up in June where you've got Germany, Hungary, Italy. You know, a great test, isn't it?
Of course. Definitely.
Just to jump in a second, lads. Spurs nearly made it 3-0, and then they had another chance and missed that as well. Jordan Pickford, to be fair, made two pretty decent saves, but literally Everton is so under the cosh, it's untrue. Like, they're just getting absolutely battered here. 34 minutes gone, and it's just Tottenham onslaught.
I mean, Everton are in a bad moment right now.
Yeah. Really bad.
Tony, do you think Everton can get out of this mess, or do you think they'll be in the relegation battle for the duration of the season?
I think they'll be in for the majority of the season because they've got a tough run in, and not only that, they've just don't seem to have any confidence whatsoever.
No.
And you know, I just can't. I can see it being a battle between them, Burnley, and Leeds, who goes down because. I think I said last week, but I've got the sneaky suspicion Burnley will get out of it. I think Burnley might sneak out of it, and it'll be Everton or Leeds that will go because Leeds have now got this American manager, and he's got to get used to the Premier League. So it's whether he can do anything for Leeds, but I would love it in a way to see Everton go down. Oh, I really would. Sorry, Chris, but I really would love to see them go down.
No, don't apologise to me, Tony.
You know, because I know you've probably got some mates who support Everton, but you know,
I do. Do you know what? I funnily enough, and I'll hold my hands up. I sent a message to my mates before because two of my close mates are Blues, and I did send them a message before and just said, listen, like, you know, obviously I've witnessed 2 relegations for Newcastle, and it is horrible. It's not nice. Don't get me wrong. I would like to see Everton go down because some fans, you know, 3-0.
yeah, I see the scoring.
3-0. Yeah, It's just an onslaught. It really is. But no, for me friends, I feel. Oh, we are. My wife's come in. She's looking absolutely horrified. I've just said that. You're getting battered, by the way.
Chris?
That's not Harry Kane scored. That's
she won't speak to me now.
Football.
I was gonna say when we were talking about it and Tony asked you the question, Chris, I was gonna say choose your words carefully because your family are about. And
yeah, she literally just opened the door then and was like, "What are you saying?" And I was saying I feel sorry for my mates and my wife, of course, that you know, for the position Everton are in, and it's not nice. But then on the other hand, the amount of stick that sometimes we get from Everton fans, it would give them a little bit of just desserts. Do you know what I mean?
Onside.
I don't think.
Yeah, he's on. Clearly on.
Onside.
Clearly on.
Yeah, he's on. He's on. Goal.
3-0. Wow.
Goal.
Wow. But yeah, but like you, Tony, I still have a sneaky feeling it'll be Burnley. And I know people are getting excited, and Weghorst seems a good replacement for Wards, and they've really had a little bounce. But I still have concerns. That they've had their little purple patch. They lost at the weekend, didn't they? And I think their momentum's going to go. I just don't think they've got enough in the squad.
They got hammered, Chris. 4-0.
Hammered.
Yeah,
they got hammered. And you know what? What's a big miss for them is that in the midweek game against Leicester, Ben Mee went off injured, and I don't know how bad that injury was, but I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he played on Saturday.
No, he didn't. The injury.
He. I don't know how long he's out for, but he's colossal for them.
He's a big miss. He's a big miss. Ben Mee.
He's injured for any length of time. That could be
out the squad.
That could be a big hit for them. The fact that he's not in the team, because Tarkowski, although we've been heavily linked with him, he's not the same player. He's not the same player. They should have got rid of him in January. They should.
Do you know what, Pete? Like I look at the Burnley team, and I know we're not going to touch long on Burnley here, but you know, I'm just looking at their team. A few years ago, I used to be able to name the Burnley team front to back, and now you're seeing the likes of Connor Roberts, Nathan Collins, Aaron Lennon, Ashley Westwood, Josh. Aaron Lennon plays right midfield for Burnley. It's mental, mate. They've got Jay Rodriguez up front, and you're thinking, really, like, and you know, you look at the bench. That Cornet, big fan of him. He looks a fantastic prospect. But on the bench, you know, you've got Jack Cork, Wayne Hennessy, Phil Bardsley, Kevin Long. It's like, really, like there's no squad depth. They've not you know, lifted the quality of the squad in the years. And as much as Sean Dyche has done a fantastic job, they're going to get caught out. They really are.
I got laughed at today off somebody because a guy I work with, he's a Norwich fan anyway, and he sort of laughed at me when I said, I'll tell you now, if Burnley go down this season, they'll be in the Championship for quite a long time because they won't come straight back up.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and said, I don't agree with you. I think they'll come straight back up. And I said, I don't think they will.
No.
Look, lads,
there's no way.
Look at the money.
No. Let's face it, lads. It's time. It's time Burnley went. We said the same when Stoke. It was said the same when Stoke got relegated. They had their ups and their downs, but it was time they went. It's the same with Burnley. It's now time. Move on. So I wouldn't be against Burnley going down, but if it was a choice between me, if it was a choice that I had to make between Everton and Burnley, the Scouse Mackles have got to go. I'm sorry.
I
tell you what makes it even better for the Everton as well, because when you go back to like January, Van der Beek said he didn't want to come to Newcastle because he didn't want to be in a relegation fight.
Jesus.
Well, look where we are compared to Everton.
Dele Alli, he's on the bench tonight. He ain't even getting on.
No.
How embarrassing is that you've gone to start your new career and you were the deadline day, big money deal, potentially up to 45 million pound deal. You barely kicked a ball since you signed.
Yeah.
It must be.
Is that gone, Pete? Is that gone?
Do you know what it is?
You know, Chris, I tried to fight his corner during the transfer window.
And you were right. You were right. What you were saying, you were right.
And I gave some stats and I made some points about Dele Alli, about how it could be a decent signing for us. And I'll be honest, with the Lingard deal falling through, I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't get him. But actually, it looks like we've pulled an absolute masterstroke by actually not getting him, because I think it looks like to me on the outside that Everton have had him for a couple of weeks and gone, we've made a bad choice here. Like,
And Pete, if the best on hand on heart, if you think around the UK, if you think of people around football, who's the one person who could get a tune out of Dele Alli? What the ex-professional, player, manager, who would be the best person?
someone
Frank Lampard.
someone who played in his position.
Yeah, he did it. Frank Lampard to be telling him what to do, where to run, how he can improve his game, and he's not even playing him. He can't even get a look in.
I don't know about yours two lads, but on Dele Alli, just a quick point on Dele Alli, but since the 2018 World Cup, where we had a great World Cup, I don't think since then he's pulled up any trees. He seems to have gone downhill more than anything, and he seems to be going like as if he looks like a Championship player now, not a Premier League player, and certainly not an England player. He's miles away from that squad now.
Miles away from the England squad. Miles away.
I'll be surprised if he ever gets back in it.
Yeah.
Unless he does something really dramatic and turns his form around. But,
he could end up doing a Jack Wilshere, Tony. Where like he ends up getting to late 20s and he just never comes back. He just never has he just believed in his own hype. And like I said, Pete, during the transfer window, and that was my only concern around Dele Alli. When you've got Poch, you've got Jose, you've got Nuno, and then you've got Conte, and every single one of them didn't fancy him. Every single one of them. And now he's joined Everton. Change of club. And you were right when you said it at the time, Pete. Maybe that's all he needs. Maybe he just needs that kick up the backside, a new voice, a new club, new surroundings. And he's still
see when we
on
go,
the bench.
See when I look, because obviously some people said when we got Eddie Howe, people were sort of like, "Oh, Eddie Howe." But when you look at it, when we got rid of Bruce, Norwich got rid of their manager, then Villa got rid of their manager in quick succession because they thought, "Oh, hang on, Newcastle's getting rid of their manager. They're going to be on the manager bounce now." We brought Eddie Howe in. Sorry, out of Howe, Gerrard, and Smith, I think we got the best manager out of the lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
As much as I thought Gerrard was
a year ago,
I did not want Gerrard at Newcastle.
Yeah, Pete knew that. Pete knew that.
I called, honestly, it was November 2020 when, back end of November 2020, just before we had Brentford in the quarterfinals of the Cup, where that was when I first started sort of tweeting out and putting messages out on the Matchday Lives, on NUFC Matters Matchday Lives about Bruce saying we need to move him on, and the ideal manager to come in was Eddie Howe. And to be fair, I took a lot of pelters on the back of it on the show and on tweets saying Eddie Howe's not good enough for Newcastle, blah, 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 blah. But I was adamant that his style of management and the way he is and how methodical he is with his management style was perfect for Newcastle. Relegation aside, wasn't interested in that. That happened because that team had kind of gone past its sell-by date. That just happens sometimes. We look at Newcastle, it happened twice. But I honestly believe that Eddie Howe is the manager to take us forward. And I think providing that the ownership and the management team are as united as they are right now, I think the only way is up. And I think we've got to remember, Eddie Howe had nearly 2 years out of the game where he went to Atletico Madrid. Trippier talked about it. He contacted Trippier and said, "Can I go and train with you guys? Can I go and watch you guys train?" He went to Maurizio Sarri and train and watch him train in Italy. He went to other teams around the continent. He is a manager that wants to be better. He wants to progress as a manager and develop his own style. We're already seeing that in Newcastle United. He has developed his style. It's not just all out attack, gung ho. He's actually developed a team that is still front foot, but actually look at our defensive record. We need many chances, and that's what he's instilled in this team. Like, he has developed his managerial ability so much that all he needs now is a European reputation. Once he gets this team, and I believe he will, into Europe and he builds a European reputation, he could get any player to come in and play for him.
If you think back to last week, Pete, when I said to yourself and Chris that if back at the start of the season had Ashley decided, let's get rid of Bruce and bring Eddie Howe in, where we would have been now, we wouldn't be anywhere near that bottom. We would have been probably further up the table, maybe. But as I say, we've got him, and he's not going anywhere as far as I'm concerned, because, like I said last week, he can be our elite manager. He can be the next Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say, just before, because I know Jimmy's waiting to come on. The one thing I'll say is I don't worry about Eddie Howe not doing a good enough job at Newcastle.
No.
The only thing about Eddie Howe I worry about is England and being called up as the next England manager. That's what I worry about more than anything with Eddie Howe. I worry that he's going to do such a good job at Newcastle, and if we don't have a good World Cup, for example, or he's given until the next Euros. I mean, Gareth Southgate gets given to the next Euros, or he doesn't do a good enough job with England. Question marks stop being asked. I think someone like Eddie Howe would be next in line.
And he takes it. He takes it, Pete. 1,000,000% he takes it.
He couldn't not. He couldn't not. I mean, he's got a great project with Newcastle that he's building and developing. But when England comes calling, there's not many English managers, if any, that have ever not taken the role. Because it's like representing your country. You're manager of your country. There's no better kind of representation than that. And I think that's the only thing that I really worry about with Eddie Howe, is that we lose him to England rather than lose him because he's not doing the job properly. Because I think the ownership will give him everything he needs in order to be successful. And he's already got the buy-in for the players. I just think that's just me. But look, Tony, we'll leave it there.
One last thing is, for the next 3 games, for the next 3 games, I can see us getting probably 7 points, because, to be honest with you, I can see us pinching a point to Chelsea, because we are a different team to what Chelsea played a few months ago when Graham Jones was in charge. You know, we're a totally different outfit now. So I think we could even, if we do sneak a point to Chelsea, that's a great point. But I can see us beating Southampton, and I can definitely see us beating Everton, without a doubt. And if we can get a point to Chelsea, that puts us on 35 points. We are safe, basically, then.
Yeah.
More or less, anyway. And, so onwards and upwards, and the future's bright.
Definitely, mate.
Absolutely.
Cheers, lads. And I will be back on next week as usual.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Look forward to chatting, mate.
Let's hope we've got 4 points by then as well.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I'll take 4 points.
I just hope one of our new signings scores against Southampton. Let's ram it down Hasenhüttl.
Yeah.
That man is an embarrassment to football.
After
complaining to the Premier League that we should not be allowed to play our new signings. Or I hope Bruno comes on and scores against them.
Yeah,
let's see how he thinks about that.
Yeah.
And let's nick more posts off them in the summer. Why not?
Yeah.
Point. Tony, absolute pleasure. I'll let you go now, because I know we've got
no worries, mate. No worries.
Jimmy in the chat, but come back next week, and fingers crossed, not just 4 points, but potentially 6. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
why not?
You take care,
Why
mate.
not?
We'll speak to you soon.
See you later.
Take care, Tony.
Great to have
Pete,
Tony on. Go on, mate.
There's just 2 comments I want to flash up, mate. It just made me laugh. The first one off Life Goals. I love this. I like you, Tony, but if Newcastle gets 7 points from those 3 games, I'll come on this show and address. Life Goals, that's it now. It's flashed on the screen. If there's 7 points or more, we'll see it. We'll see it next week.
Yeah, pick your favourite dress, mate.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I mean, I reckon he'd be happy to come on in a dress. I really do. If we end up getting 7 points from them 3 games, I think he'd be more than happy to come on. I might even join him. I might throw a dress on. 7 points. Jesus.
I'd be getting a fresh bottle if we. I'd be getting a fresh bottle if we get 7 points on the next games. Because I tell you what, if we get 7 points from those next games, we're safe in the Premier League for another season. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, that's right.
And it'll be a reason to celebrate. So, Chris, you're absolutely right, mate. We'll hold him to that bad boy.
And I've got one more for you, and it's a fantastic comment from Derek. We didn't even touch on this. Derek Sharp said, Spurs should be charged with robbery. They stole 45 million. Because don't forget, Everton have signed Dele Alli, Pete, on a permanent deal for a total of £40 million, not to mention his wages.
Hey, that's David Levy working his magic all over again. People hate him, but he doesn't half know how to do a deal unless he's signing Musa Sissoko for £30 million.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, mate, it's insane, isn't it? It's insane money. Insane money. You're getting what did we pay for Bruno? Was it 40?
Yeah, it
Bruno
worked out
Gomes or Dele Alli?
Oh, come on. We haven't even seen. Look, Bruno Guimaraes.
We've not even seen him, and we want him.
Bruno Guimaraes has played like 45 minutes, and he's already done more than Dele Alli in
Yeah.
that period of time this season.
Oh, crazy. Crazy.
Brilliant stuff.
We get laughed at for spending 25 million on Wood. Yeah, Dele Alli for 40 mil. Doesn't even get a game. No one says a word.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Madness. You're absolutely right, mate. You're absolutely right. But look, let's get our final guest of the evening on. Been waiting really patiently, and I really, really appreciate him for doing so. Come on, Jimmy. Get involved, son.
Jimmy.
Hey, Brandy and Vape. How you doing?
Hey, that'll catch on, that. Brandy and Vape. Yeah.
I love it.
And how the hell you know? How do you know if I was waiting patiently?
Yeah, he might not have been patient.
Well, that's true.
I mean, my room's hot as shit. I had to move in town inside because the blue skies caught up with me. We're gonna get rain all week, so it got rained on. Had a roommate run inside, so this sucks. But yeah, great win. I figured we would struggle because Potter, I mean, he's not stupid. I mean, why Manchester United isn't going for him? Someone proven in the league, and then somebody, well, Ten Hag, I don't know, but the hell with them. You know, execution isn't always pretty, and it wasn't on that day. I was kind of worried first 10 minutes. I was really surprised that Mopé didn't start the game because he gives us fits. I didn't know if there was an injury deal or he just didn't start, but he's kind of like Pookie when he sees us. His eyes kind of light up. He's always good for a goal. But yeah, they had to run of the game until we punched them in the face with two quick ones. I mean, poor Murphy. The guy's just allergic to scoring. I don't know what he has to do. But yeah, he tries his ass off, but
he does.
Yeah.
How many times has he hit the post this season?
3.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He could be sitting on 4 or 5 goals this season.
Yeah.
He's hit the post 3 times. He missed an absolute sitter where he should have chipped it over Foster.
Oh, well, that was
last minute.
That was that, and the shitty penalty from Zaha had to be the 2 worst attempts at a goal this year. The penalty, the Zaha penalty, it was god awful. But I mean, that was big ups to Dan Burn because that couldn't have been an easy game for him to play. He's got a lot of friends still over there, and he's got to still have a attachment to that club. For him to come out and play the match he did was big ups to him. And my man of the match, well, with Frazier and Martin Atkinson's not fucking it up. But,
Love it.
So looking forward to Southampton and their manager's press conference, seeing if he will bring up something, again about our transfers. Whatever.
Do you think
I can't pronounce his name? It was like Ralph
Hasselhoff.
Yeah. I like Hasselhoff. I'll do that.
Yeah. Jimmy, do you think Do you think Eddie Howe will be using that in his, his pre-match talk? Do you think he might bring up the fact that what Hassan Hootel said, and also do you think that, do you think we've got a good chance of picking some points up against Southampton on Thursday?
Yeah, 3 points is, well, that's what I'm calling for. But Eddie's too classy a guy to bring that up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's behind him. Only teams that are struggling would probably bring up something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see 7 points coming out of these next 3.
Jimmy, you'll have to get your dress on as well then.
Shit, I'll wear a thong. I mean, hey, if I have to go out get a nice Brazilian wax, I will, because Toon fans, we love our Brazilians.
I think everyone's going to be panicking, aren't they? Everyone. I mean, I'm starting to get a bit panicky now because I'm thinking if we do get 7 points or more, Life Goals has started this off now. I think we're going to end up all having to wear the dress, Pete, because if we get 7 points, mate, and we're sitting on 35 points, the dream.
I would love to see us get these points a lot sooner than later, just for the fact I'd like to see Bruno get more time. And my final point, if ASM doesn't start tracking back or learning to pass the ball, then I would sit him.
Really?
I would sit him. I mean, when he came on, it was dreadful. Not the fact, it didn't really piss me off as much that he didn't track back, because he never tracks back, but the fact that every time he got the ball, I mean, he always held it for 2, 3, 4 touches more than what he should have. Yeah. And it was annoying because the game was still in the balance.
Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it, Jimmy? You're absolutely right, because it's not just the fact that St. Max, when we're used to St. Maximin not doing that, and we do make allowances for them at times. But you're absolutely right. He's coming onto a game where we're slightly under the cosh, and you think, come on, let's dig in. And the other 9 outfield players on the pitch are grafting, they're working hard, they're trying to do the best, and it doesn't really set a good example, does it?
No. I could see if he was a 15 to 20 goal scorer, but I mean, he's not. And with his type of game, he's never going to be that. Yeah. And
that's it.
Well, and for Almiron, I'd love to see him come back to the MLS, but there's only maybe 2 teams in the MLS that are going to be able to give you the money to break. And one of them would be Atlanta. We had some comments this week from his good friend Martinez here that he would love to see him back. And I grew up in North Carolina, so big shouts to Charlotte FC, 75,000 at their home opener.
Wow.
But
Jimmy, is there anyone in the MLS who, maybe Martinez, as you've just mentioned, but is there anyone in the MLS who you think we could maybe ship Miggy to? Because I know you said there's an issue over money and stuff like that. Is there anyone who we could potentially swap and bring to Newcastle in replacement of Miggy? Is there anyone in the MLS who you think would work well at Newcastle?
There's a kid here that was originally at Lille, Rougeau. He went from he started at PSG, went to Lille, and they got him last year, $12 million transfer. And the kid is amazing. He was so good that we actually shipped our under 23 Argentinian international. Ezekiel Barco
I was about to
loaned
say,
him. Well, we loaned him out the Liver Plate five days before the season started, and nobody. I mean, everyone here's pissed because
He's
nobody knows why. And he's one. One thing was he was actually wanting to move, but Atlanta said they weren't going to move him. They were going to hold off, see what European offers came in. But I think he's a player I would love to see at Newcastle. I mean, kid's talented, but the Arujo kid is just as talented. Actually scored in our first game before he went off with an hamstring, but I think he's only 24.
Ezekiel Barco he's a super talented. You know what? I was shocked when I seen he went off to River Plate. I'm glad to hear that it was only on loan because I think if I'm right, I think he plays left wing.
Yeah.
Plays on the left hand side. He's only a young player. I think he's like 21, 22, but super talented player. He's destined for Europe at some point. He has to continue to play in Europe. He's a very, very good player. But clearly, the lad that you're talking about must be of a similar talent if they're willing to loan him out to the River Plate for a season. Interesting one. Very interesting.
Plus, I think he's probably a little homesick too. And I don't see Leeds going down now. March, if you saw any of that game, they dominated. It should have had 4 goals. March came in, organized the defense, and it was basically one lucky shot. Went through the legs of the defender into the corner. And that was basically, other than that, maybe one other chance that Leicester had the whole game. I mean, and the Leeds fans that I've chatted with were really optimistic because they haven't seen defense in so long. We know they can score goals. I kind of tab Leeds and maybe scraping it out on the last day.
Oh my God, it's 4-0, Jimmy. 4-0, and it's we're 55 seconds into the second half. Wow.
Nothing would make me happier. Nothing.
He's just cut to Lampard and he just looks a dejected figure. Honestly, I've been having a chat with a couple of lads with regards to during that halftime break, and one of the things that people forget is that one, Frank Lampard is still a very inexperienced manager. The second thing is he's never been in a relegation battle before. This is the unknown for a team like Everton that look like they're in free fall at the moment. Clearly, it's a calamity of mistakes for that goal. It's embarrassing. And you know what's
to put it in, Pete. To put it in.
You know what's really, really interesting, guys, is that I just had flashbacks during the halftime team talk because I've got it in my AirPod. I was listening to in one ear to Jamie Carragher, and the one thing he said at halftime was, Everton's back four is a championship back four. When have we heard that?
Oh, God.
Wow.
From a Sky pundit. And I wanted to laugh at the time because he said that Everton back four is a championship back four.
Oh.
I just wanted to laugh out loud. It was
Pete, that Bentancur for Tottenham, he's running amok in that midfield. He's running amok.
Bentancur is too good for Tottenham. let alone playing against Everton. Bentancur, he should have never left Juventus. Bentancur is an outstanding.
He's bossing the midfield, mate.
Midfielder. He is quality. He should be playing at the top. It surprises me that someone like Man City didn't take him on, because he'd be a perfect replacement for Fernandinho. He really would. But it doesn't surprise me that he's tearing it up at Tottenham. He's a talented player. And Everton, I keep saying it, Lampard is not an experienced manager, and he does not know how to get out of a relegation battle. And you know what? They could have done with Rafa Benitez, because Rafa Benitez, with one thing, knows one thing, and that's how to set up a team to be hard to beat.
The problem is when I don't know who's advising on transfers, but you sign for need. You don't sign for the sake of signing someone and signing the name over the position you need, and that's what they did.
Yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right.
I mean, I'm sorry, but there's not a person on that squad, with the exception of Anthony Gordon, that I would have.
No, I agree. Do you know what, Jimmy? I was just looking at the back four. Well, they're playing with wing backs, believe it or not, but their centre back pairing at the moment is Jared Branthwaite, who, well, we saw what he did when he came on against us. He just looked like a rabbit in headlights, and I feel sorry for the lad. He's only a youngster, and I'm sure he's got a good football career ahead of him, but he's not Premier League quality. What? Sorry,
is he not? I'm sure he's from up north. I'm sure he's from Newcastle neck of the woods.
Yeah, I think he is, because when he came on against us, I think he's from the northeast, because they were saying like it's some atmosphere to put him into. But he's come on for Michael Keane. They've got Mason Holgate in the middle, and they've got Seamus Coleman on the right side of a free, and then the wing backs are Gordon and Kenny. I tell you what, if they play that lineup against us, we will destroy them. We will destroy them.
Definitely. Absolutely, 110%. They are in a bad moment. But interestingly, Life Goals has come up with another banger of a point as well. He's put Pete Lampard is only a few months younger than Eddie Howe. People forget that. Night and day as managers, they really are.
Great point.
That's a really, really good point. Yes, Eddie Howe's had longer in management because his football career got cut short by a series of injuries, but they are night and day managers, and it just goes to show that just because you've had a highlighted special career on the pitch doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to be a great manager off the pitch. And that's what Lampard's proving it right now. He may prove us wrong in the years to come. Who knows? But I go back to the point that I made a few months ago, in that even when he was linked to Newcastle United, is that Everton had the opportunity to sign Frank Lampard in the summer. They didn't even consider him and went for Rafa Benitez. Why have they then all of a sudden gone, you're the man that we want right now? And the reason being is because he was the only one out there that would want to take the job. That's the reality of it. He was chomping at the bit to take the Everton job. Why? Because it's the most high-profile job that Frank Lampard could take. And at that moment in time, Everton, that was the highest manager that they could sign at that particular time based on the money that they had, because they had to pay out Benitez a big amount of money. That's the situation. And so it was a signing of convenience, not a signing of forward thinking. And that's been Everton's problem for a long time now.
Well, they could have had Steve Bruce.
Yeah. I wish they did.
Yeah.
I mean, lads, look at that, Jimmy and Pete. Tom Dixon's wrote 6 of Everton's final 8 games are West Ham away, Man U at home, Liverpool away, Chelsea at home, Leicester away, and Arsenal away.
It's massive. People have been talking about this for a while, about their running to the end of the season. We talked about ours, the fact that we had
That doesn't even include us, Pete. We're not even in there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like we a lot of people have talked about like our running, because we have Man City, Liverpool, we have Arsenal, we have Leicester in April, and then finishing it off with Burnley, and that's a semi-hard running. It ain't that, and you can bet that West Ham, Man United, Chelsea, and Arsenal are all fighting for the top 4. Leicester, okay, a bit iffy at the moment, hit and miss. Liverpool are going to be fighting neck and neck, tooth and nail with Man City for the Premier League title. So they all still have something desperately to play for. So they're not going to be teams that are going to be thinking, my position in the league sorted, I can just chill out. They have all got something to play for. So they are not the teams that you want to come against at the business end of the season.
You want your Palaces, your Wolves, your Southamptons, teams that are sitting in the middle. They're the teams you want to play towards the end.
Everton need to beat us. Need to beat us. So if we go there with our confidence and stop them playing, even if we take a point from Goodison Park, even if we take a point from there,
it's a good point for us.
That is going to be not like enough a dagger in the heart for Everton.
It's not enough for them.
They need the 3 points. They need it.
You're absolutely right, Pete. And it goes back to what we were saying. For us now, I'd quite happily take a point for all of our away games and the odd defeat, which I know will come. But I'd happily take a point away to Everton. I mean, I think we can get all 3 and a 1-3, but it's because that's no good for Everton. Everton can't afford to draw at home to us. They can't. They need those 3 points. They can't afford it.
And somewhere Rafa's laughing.
What, laughing with his millions in the bank, waiting for his next job to come around?
Big fat cigar. I told you so.
Definitely. Well, Geordie 2 for Life just said here, Everton have Wolves before us. That won't be easy. Wolves don't concede many goals.
5-0.
5.
Harry Kane. 5-0, and there's still 35 minutes to go.
Ooh.
I've just seen them, Pete. And Jimmy. I just seen, that Branthwaite I was talking to you about. Yeah. He was screaming at everyone on the pitch, as if to say, "Come on!" And this is the issue, isn't it? You've got the young kid doing it. This is the issue.
Who does that remind you of, and in what season?
Lascelles. In the... Hang on. I'm trying to get the number right. I'll probably get the number wrong.
You know it. What was the significance of that season?
Well, we got relegated, didn't we?
Yeah. 15-16?
Yeah. It just zoomed in on him screaming, and I just thought, hang on, you're 18, 19-year-old kids screaming here. Where's your Allens? Where's your Decores? Where's your Richarlisons? Where's your Colemans? Why is he screaming? Do you know what I mean?
I put it on
that Jude Bellingham moment right there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I put it on the Geordies Down South chat. Sorry, not the Geordies Down South. There was another chat that I put it on. It reminds me of the 15-16 season watching Everton tonight.
15-16.
It reminds me of that 15-16 season that we had. Where that kind of that big moment where away at Southampton where we got absolutely destroyed by Lallana. I think it might have been 4-0 where Janmaat didn't want to know. All the big profile, high profile players didn't want to know.
Is that when Williamson did that challenge?
No, I think that was a week or two later. Because I was at that game. That was at Leicester. Yeah, he got sent off for it against Vardy.
Yeah, and everyone said it was cynical.
Yeah. It was blatant.
He didn't want to play.
He didn't want to know. He didn't want to know. He didn't want to play. He didn't want to play. And to be fair, Carver called him out on it. You could tell on the pitch he didn't want to know. But that moment after that Southampton game, I think Janmaat went off because he hurt his wrist, and he didn't want to know. And Lascelles called him out. Lascelles called him out for it, and called a lot of the players out for it. And it seems like that reaction there from Braithwaite is kind of like that moment where it's kind of like he's pointing to a few of the experienced players to say, this is not good enough. Like, you need to step up your game. And yeah, this is not good. Their goal difference is not good. They're only a couple of points ahead of Burnley. who have always got an opportunity of picking up a win here or there. They really have. I'll just look at the league now. So Everton are minus 17. Burnley are minus 14. They're only a point behind. Yes, Everton have a game in hand, but the way Everton are going right now, those game in hands mean nothing. I think that game in hand is against us, and we could do them over with the way they're playing at the moment.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting about this? I don't want to keep talking about Everton because it's not an Everton show, but they're hanging their hat on Calvert-Lewin, and I don't rate Calvert-Lewin at all. But the one thing that's interesting about Calvert-Lewin is he's been heavily linked with so many other teams, including ours, in the last month or so. And what that says to me is that he's not necessarily happy at Everton at the moment. Now, if you've got a player in your squad that's an influential player, like Calvert-Lewin, and he is not happy in a relegation battle, you're not going to get the same performances that you've had in previous years.
No.
And he proves it tonight. He's come back into the team. He's barely kicked a ball. He doesn't look like the same player. It's not that high profile a player that people were talking about from before. And it's a really, really difficult one.
All right. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up because Chris looks like he's in another world there.
Yeah, sorry. My wife, she's panicking over Everton here. She's come in the room and she's like, can't believe it's 5-0. Yeah, it's sorry, lads. It's just I just said to her then, this is one of the worst performances I've seen. It's so bad. It's unreal.
It really is. But look, Jimmy.
Yeah, pleasure, Jimmy.
Pleasure for you to join us. Always a pleasure to talk to you. You know what, Jimmy? Hopefully next Monday we're talking about another 6 points on the board, or minimum 4. We'll be delighted to have you back next Monday to talk more.
Can I just say, Pete, I'm open at 6 points because that falls just below the dress. I was saying that it won't be confirmed yet, will it? It won't be confirmed. No, it's fine. It's fine. Yet. So we won't be in a dress, Jimmy. Don't worry. No dresses or thongs next week. Don't worry.
Oh, I'll be ready. No matter what. No matter what.
Yeah, love it.
I mean, the beard's gone. Get rid of it all.
You've been getting some lovely comments, Jimmy. Everyone's saying how much younger you look.
Well, age knows no beauty. So
that's true.
So true. Cool. So true.
All right, well, you guys take it easy.
Take care, Jimmy.
You take care.
Right.
See you later.
Take care, man.
Great.
It's funny, Jimmy, and even that fun quote.
You know, people in the chat are going to hold Jimmy to that.
Yeah.
You know they are 100%. Brilliant stuff. But yeah, look, we've got a little bit of time. We've got some comments to get through.
Pete,
let's get that quick fire going.
I'm dying to get these quick fire questions in because honestly, there's some belter ones there, and I am conscious of time. I keep looking. Difficult domestic moment. Yeah, sorry guys. It's just when the wife come in, she's literally like tearing her hair out. She's like, I can't believe I'm watching this, and like, as I said before, I do feel a bit sorry for them, like, because it is not nice being in the relegation, battle. And obviously we've gone down twice, but then the other part of me is like, yeah, but it'd be nice though, wouldn't it? It would be nice to shut a few people up. It would be nice.
But did they feel the same about us when
God no. No.
There you go.
No. I'm humble though, Pete, you know what I mean? Yeah. I've taken stick in Liverpool over Newcastle for years and years and years, and now I'm just quietly silent. When everyone's going, Newcastle this, Newcastle that. Yeah, we're not bad, are we? Yeah, I'm keeping my powder dry, because I know I don't need to brag. I know next season we're gonna finish above Everton next season. I know we are, and they know we are, whether they stay up or not. Yeah. So it's just one of those. Right. What? Sorry, Pete.
Might not even be in the same league.
I know. This is the scary thing. This is it. Right. So I'm going to try and whiz through these as quickly as I can, Pete. Okay. So, because I am conscious we're on 2 hours 20, but it's been another great show. Like,
yeah.
So First one. Blue Moon 1956. Sad indictment of our club that there's no homegrown players coming through. Hopefully that will change. What are your thoughts on that, Pete?
Yeah, look, this is why we're bringing Dan Ashworth in.
Yeah.
He will change that 100%. We will go and pluck the young talent from in and around Newcastle and around the surrounding areas to come to Newcastle. You know, you look at, you know, we take the mick out of him, but the likes of Jordan Pickford and Jordan Henderson that have come out of Sunderland could have quite easily gone into Newcastle's academy and been a part of that.
Yeah.
You know, there's no reason why, and I believe it will in the years to come, that those players that maybe have chosen Sunderland over Newcastle will start to choose Newcastle over anyone else in the surrounding area. And that's what will give us the opportunity to bring those players through. As well as that, he'll be able to attract those top young players from other clubs to come to Newcastle, just like he did with the likes of Targett Lamptey at Chelsea. And one or two others to get them in at Brighton, to allow them to kind of be at their absolute best and come through at Brighton. So I'm not worried about that. I think that will.
No, I agree. It's part and parcel of what the club are going to do, isn't it? We know that you know, the youth setup has been neglected. We know that. It's a great point made, but hopefully over the years, I'm positive that we're going to start seeing some you know, homegrown talent coming through, or even not homegrown, just, you know, players, young players who we bring into the academy at a young age, and we start to see them, you know, push through, because we've been promised so many players and they've never quite made it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sean says, oh, this is a good one. Who is going to be our statement signing? And I'm assuming Sean's referring to the summer, obviously. But who do you think that is going to be, Pete? I've got mine. I've got mine.
It's a tough one. It's a real tough one. You know, I think we go and get Sven Botman.
Yeah.
I think we go and get Sven Botman. I think that would be a big signing for us. But if I think our statement signing, I think will be our striker, whoever that is. I think that'll be the main one. Obviously, I've thrown out the fact that I would love Darwin Núñez to be Newcastle's new striker going forward, but yeah, I do think where our statement signing will be is a forward, a goal scorer. That will kind of set the Premier League alight. I really do. I'll be excited to see who that is.
I know. And
what about you? Who do you think it'll be?
Well, I like you. I thought Sven Botman. That was going to be a favourite one, but I do take your point. If we bring a striker in, they're going to be the statement signing, aren't they? 9 times out of 10, Sven Botman would be a fantastic signing, but, you know, fingers crossed that deal happens. But yeah, I do think it'll be a striker. See, I want to say Darwin Núñez, but then on the other hand, you know, like that Bruno Guimaraes signing, none of us were thinking we were getting him. So it could just be that we just go out and sign this top talent in Europe, and everyone's like, "Wow, didn't think we were going to get him." So that's where the excitement comes from, doesn't it? Because if we go out and get a top,
as well.
Sorry,
Lucas Paqueta. That Chris in there. Bruno Guimaraes is good mate from Lyon. He's a top attacking midfielder. Can actually would play the role that Joe Linton and Joe Willock are playing perfectly well. That's his perfect position in a midfield. With Bruno Guimaraes being that sitter like Shelvey is, and Paqueta getting forward, because Paqueta can score a goal as well.
What are we saying about this, Pete? Bruno sitting, and then you've got Paqueta on the right and Joe Linton on the left. The Brazilian trio.
Yeah, you know what? I could see it. I really
so good that though, wouldn't it?
But what do you think? I'm going to ask you this question because I've seen it a lot tonight. A lot of people have put it out there, and I don't know if there's anything in it. I don't know if I've missed anything, but a lot of people are saying that
I've seen it a lot.
Haaland could be that signing. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, do you know what? I am on the side of caution. Obviously, I'd love Haaland. Obviously, we all know he's got a release clause, and that's not going to be an issue for Newcastle. Even if he didn't have a release clause, it wouldn't be an issue for Newcastle. The problem that you've got is, depending how big we go, is Erling Haaland going to be willing to potentially stay at Newcastle for 2 or 3 years and possibly not get in Europe, because that's essentially what could happen, unless of course Eddie Howe or the ownership sell him we're going for the league this season, and that, I mean, that would just be unreal. I mean, again, it depends on the. Oh, wait, Dele Alli's coming on, by the way. I like to see them put them on 5-0 down. When Calvert-Lewin's come off, so he's obviously decided to settle. But do you know what? If in the early summer we start bringing in, top players, and we get 2, 3, 4, 5 top players, it would make you think: Are we going to push for the Champions League? Is that what we're going to do in this next season? I think the first couple of weeks will be telling for me in the transfer window, in terms of the caliber of player that we're looking to bring in. If we start bringing in top players, then anything's possible. Anything. I still think Haaland will go to City. I still think it's City or Madrid, and I think it might be City, especially because his dad is a bit of a City legend, isn't he? So it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah. For me, anyway.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I do think.
But who knows?
I do think. Look, I don't think we'll get Haaland. I'm not going to be on that sort of bandwagon to excite people, but I just think. I think we'll be in with a shout. I think we will offer him a contract.
Oh yeah, we'll throw our hat in the ring. Why not? Yeah. Why not?
I think we will in the summer, but I just don't think we'll get him. I really don't. I've got a question for you actually.
Go on.
Really quickly. It's from Daryl from the down south chat, the Geordies down south. He put a bid for Elise at Palace to replace Murphy. Would that be a good call?
Oh, 1,000,000% it would. I mean, Elise, you were the one, Pete, who mentioned him near the start of the season, saying he's a quality player. And from what I've seen of him, he seems to have taken over the reins of Zaha and Eze as like the exciting new kid on the block. Yeah. It feels like Zaha is nearly going to go. He doesn't want to be there. Despite him, being professional and getting his head down, he doesn't want to be there. Eze had that really horrific injury, but Elise this season has been the live wire along with Conor Gallagher. But yeah, 1,000,000%, I wouldn't hesitate. Yeah, I'd take him over Murphy. I mean, again, is this the kind of deal where you go to Palace? Well, yeah, we'll give you 10, 15, 20 million, and here's Jacob Murphy. Would Palace take that?
Interesting. He's only a young lad.
Yeah.
I watched him when we played, obviously, Palace at Selhurst Park, and I just looked at his ability on the board. His technique was so good.
Yeah, he's good.
Got such a good technique, and he plays on that right hand side.
Exactly.
That right hand side that we want to have another option other than like a Fraser or Alan Maximin in there. And he just gives a little bit of something different. He's that inside forward, likes to cut in on his left, whip those balls in. I just think, it'd be if we're looking at a young player to really develop, he would be the guy. But so for Darryl, that's not a bad shout at all.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to put up Dan Smirnoff's comment. I'll put it up because I was going to, but I don't want to get into this because, and no offense, Dan, but I don't want it to bring us down because we know what their game is. We know what their plan is. Dan says, lads, what do you think of Simon on TalkSport? And Danny Murphy saying they wanted us relegated. One, I don't care. And two, it's all there for clicks, isn't it? It's all there for bait. And they know full well we're not going anywhere. They know that.
Yeah, look, Danny Murphy's never liked Newcastle. And there's a reason for that. It's because when he was being kicked out of Liverpool and when he was being kicked out of Tottenham, is that he wanted to join Newcastle and Newcastle weren't interested in him. So he ended up at Fulham, he ended up at Charlton, played two teams that he didn't want to be at, but he ended up having to go there because Newcastle didn't want him and they weren't interested in him, even though he was desperate to play further up north, and he was desperate to play for Newcastle. So this is his way of kind of getting back at us, is kind of like sticking the boot in and wanting us relegated. He wants us relegated because he knows just like Simon Jordan, just like everybody else, Paul Merson, the lot, is that we stay in the league this season, we're going to come for all of them. All of their ex-clubs, Arsenal, Palace, Fulham who are in the Championship, Charlton's, whoever at Tottenham's, for Danny Murphy. We're coming for all of those teams, and they know it. And the key to it all, and I can't remember where I said this, but I said this before. The key to it all with some of these pundits that have these opinions, like Gabriel Bonhor, Danny Mills, Danny Murphy, Simon Jordan, is that with Newcastle, none of them have a link. None of them have a link. They're not associated with the club. They weren't an ex-player of the club. They weren't an ex-owner of the club. And with Newcastle going up and up, places like Sky, TalkSport, BT Sport are going to be looking around and going, who are ex-Newcastle that can come in and talk about Newcastle and where can we have the link? And people like Jermaine Genius have now, I think you alluded to it before on another show, Jermaine Genius has now started talking up about Newcastle.
I was loving it. He's loving it now.
Newcastle and all the rest of it because he knows he's got an in there. But none of these pundits that like to talk shit about Newcastle have an in with Newcastle. Why? Because they're not associated with Newcastle in any way, shape, or form. And they hate the fact because they know that when it comes to the crunch of Newcastle up there challenging, that they're going to be, that these TalkSport, BT, Sky are going to be calling on other people instead of them. And they're going to lose money and they're going to lose chances of being on shows and business on the back of that. So they want Newcastle down because they're quite happy talking about Newcastle and shitting on Newcastle, but they don't like the fact that Newcastle are going to be up there challenging, where people like Kieran Dyers and Jermaine Geniuses and Rob Lees and Warren Bartons and all these guys are going to be talking about Newcastle in a positive light because they've got an affiliation with the club.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Right. And there'll be new ones coming out as well. There'll be new ones who want to get into.
Demba Ba will be. I know he's training with the West Ham under-18s at the moment. Demba Ba, he's coaching those boys. But look, Demba Ba is still loved at Newcastle. And if they get given an opportunity of coming on to talk about Newcastle in a positive light, he'll be on.
He'll take it. Yeah, 1,000,000%. I really like this comment from Andrew D. Bargate. Targett is like Newcastle's Dennis Irwin. I like that. I can definitely see that comparison. Targett should be Newcastle's first signing of this next season, says Gary Milligan. Do you agree with that, Pete? A few people in the chat have been saying that we should be possibly looking higher than Matty Targett. What are your thoughts on that?
It's not a bad shout. And look, there's no better person to look at than the guy that Mark really was interested in the January transfer window, the Fully Loaded transfer show, and that's Mark Cucurella, who played against us on Saturday. What better left back if we didn't get Matty Targett to come in than Mark Cucurella? That'd be a fantastic signing. But the problem with that is, if we're looking at considering a better left back signing, you're going to have to pay considerably more money to get that player in. And Matty Targett at 26, playing the way he's playing, you could probably negotiate a deal between 15 and 20 million with a few add-ons, and that would be well within Newcastle's budget to do so. That could take you on a few years to the point where it could take you on for 3 or 4 years with a view that at the age of 29, 30, where you're not necessarily desperate in signing other areas, you can go and really get a top left back to then take over the reins after that point. So that would be my only thing. I don't think Newcastle are going to go and spend 30, 40 million in the summer on the left back because they're going to be prioritising other areas. So it would make perfect sense to get Targett in my opinion, for this stage right now.
Yeah, definitely. You've got your short-term players, your medium-term players, your long-term players. Matty Targett for me would definitely be a medium-term player. He'd be someone who you're going to have, longer than 18 months, 2 years, but eventually you would probably look to replace him. Whereas the likes of, say, Chris Wood, I would certainly see him as a short-term player. Where, you need an upgrade sooner rather than later. But with Matty Targett, I think he does a job. Okay, and that's that was the point Yana was making. Which to be fair, it's a valid point because some people would say that we need a bigger upgrade. Mark Byers, I haven't seen Mark for a while, so big shout out to Mark. I'd genuinely rather have Lascelles than Tarkowski, which is an interesting point.
It is. I think is the reason why I started earlier on in the show, because there's been a lot of talk about Tarkowski in him coming to Newcastle, but he's had a torrid season.
Is it? Are we at the point now, Pete, where we look at the likes of Tarkowski and go, we could probably bring him better? Would you necessarily ship out, a Fernandez, a Lascelles, a Dummett, and replace them with Tarkowski? Or would you be looking to maybe, we've been linked with Botman, we've been linked with, don't forget, we've got Shaw, we've got Bain, possibly Botman. We're going to be looking at a right-sided centre-back. Would you be looking maybe for a bigger upgrade than a Tarkowski coming in at right centre-back?
I think we get someone like a Tarkowski on a free if Lascelles goes. So I think we would cash in on Lascelles and take Tarkowski on a free because it's a no transfer. The argument is Tarkowski better than Lascelles? Mark Byers doesn't seem to think so. And you've got a captain of Newcastle. He knows the club. He knows the expectations. He can come in and do a job. Yes, he's not great on the ball, but Tarkowski, at an older age, I think Tarkowski's older. I think he's nearly 30. You're getting a player in that maybe isn't athletically as solid as Lascelles, maybe slightly better on the ball. It's a difficult one. It really is. And this is the decision that Howe's going to make. Is it? Do you potentially keep Shaw and Lascelles as your two your right centre back options, and you get Dan Burn and Botman as your two left centre back options, and you go with that four? Or do you move on Lascelles, get in someone like Tarkowski on a cheap deal to be back up to Shaw? Is Tarkowski going to want to be back up to Shaw? There are big questions there. There are big questions there. But
it goes back to what we were saying, Pete, about building a squad. And this is the problem. This is the issue that we're going to have, because you can't, even if we get in this top class right centre back, Fabian Schär's not going to sign a new deal and be fourth choice centre back. He's not going to accept that.
The one thing I think is not going to happen is that Diego Carlos, I don't think, comes to Newcastle. I'll be surprised. I think that was one of the deals that was only for
now or never.
Yeah. It was one of them. It was either now we get him in January or we don't get him at all. And I think Diego Carlos knew that. He knew that it was going to be. That's why he pushed and put transfer request in, because he knew that if he didn't get this deal done now, that it wouldn't happen again in the summer. And we've got to remember, we could get surprised by some other targets, because we were linked to certain players in the January transfer window that were semi-available in the January transfer window. There might have been other players that this scouting network were looking at that might not have been available. In January,
come back in the summer.
But in the summer, are 100% available. So we could be coming on on the shows talking about a whole host of different players that we're linked with. And that's the beauty of it all, is that our options that we're talking about and pigeonholing now could completely change in that time.
We're going to be casting the net favour, aren't we?
Yeah,
definitely. Quick one from Lee G. Would you take Pope from Burnley?
Nope. I don't think Pope is any better. I don't think Pope is better than Dubravka. I think Dubravka is a better goalkeeper. But if we're gonna replace Dubravka, we need to replace Dubravka with a significantly better goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I think we either go out in Europe and get a top goalkeeper and pay a little bit of money for him and get him in, or I think we go English. And some people may not agree with this, but I think Dean Henderson is a top goalkeeper. I think Dean Henderson is England's number one goalkeeper that is just not playing regular football right now. I think Dean Henderson plays regularly for Newcastle United week in, week out. Let's not forget the performances he put in for Sheffield United in their first season back up in the Premier League when he was on loan for them. He was one of the best performing goalkeepers in the Premier League. He was outstanding. for them. There was a reason why Man United wanted him back in the summer and didn't let him go out again, because they wanted to keep him because he was that good. And at that point, for me, and I said it to my mates that are Man United fans, they needed to give him the number one and say, go be the number one.
Yeah.
Go be the number one for Man United and then eventually for England. He is a top goalkeeper. He's better than Pope. He's better than Dubravka. But I mean, I love Dubravka, and I think Dubravka would want to stay for at least 2 or 3 years and be the reserve goalkeeper.
I think he was.
And we can get rid of then Darlow, and we can get rid of Gillespie, and we can free up some space that way. That would be, it'll either be a top goalkeeper in Europe, it'll be someone like Dean Henderson, in my opinion.
Yeah. How many points do you think we need? I'll answer this one quickly. I think we need 3 wins, which is 9 points, which will put us on 37 points. Obviously, I want to get to 40 as soon as possible, and I think we're more than capable of doing that. But as long as we get to 37 points, I think we're fine.
Yeah. 3 wins. 3 wins, 3 draws gets us to 40. We're done.
Yeah.
Happy days.
Game, set, match.
Yeah.
Interesting one. This one came out today, Pete. Tom Dixon. Question today. We're linked with Rashford. Would you take him?
Okay. Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford has not played well for 18 months. He's not playing well at all. Now, the question that's in my head right now about Marcus Rashford is it the case of what's going on at Man United and the turmoil at the club is the reason why he's not playing? Or is there something else? Is there something else? Is it a Dele Alli moment? Is it a moment where he's come from at 18 years old, he's hit the heights, he's had this great trajectory, but then he's got to, I think he's like 24, 25 at the moment. He's still a really young lad. Is he got to the point like Dele Alli where he's kind of hit his peak and there's no area of progression in his mind? He's not been able to make that next step.
Yeah.
That's my biggest concern about Marcus Rashford. Not from a Newcastle point of view, just as a player. I don't see him. I haven't seen him make that next step. You see players at 23, 24 that then develop as a player and get better. You could argue that at Man United it's very hard to do that, and I'd be inclined to agree with that. Would I take the risk on Marcus Rashford? Of course, because his raw attributes would have him seriously taking us to the next level. I really do.
Yeah.
I think you could play him as a frontline striker. I think you could play him on the left, on the right. I think his pace and his ability to score goals is something that we could not afford to just pass up. I'd be very cautious on the transfer fee if we were going to sign him, because I think Man United would ask a hell of a lot of money. They would be talking. I think Marcus Rashford, they would want about 70 million for him.
Yeah, I was just thinking the exact same figure.
For me,
and I'm not sure.
That's too much for me.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd pay that.
If they were offering around 50 million, I would say, yeah, let's get that deal done. England international, or was an England international. Let's try and see if Eddie Howe can fit him into the system that gets him back playing at the level that we know he's capable of. Personally, I think Marcus Rashford needs a change of scenery. It's very hard for players like Marcus Rashford and Jesse Lingard because they are so ingrained in Man United. They're born and bred Manx. They love the club. They were brought up loving the club. I think it's very hard for those players to see themselves playing elsewhere.
Yeah.
I think if Marcus Rashford is to leave, he probably goes abroad, if I'm honest. I know PSG, talking to my brother Lee, I know PSG hold a real interest in him. They're really keen on a player like Marcus Rashford. And after he scored the goal in the Champions League against them, the penalty, and the way he performed in that game, I think they've kept an eye on him ever since. So I think he would be kind of pulled maybe away into Europe. But would I take him? Yeah, because I think we could, at our club in our trajectory right now, I think we can make him a better player. But I'd be worried about the transfer fee, and I'd be worried about his mentality and where he's at, and how we can develop him to make him go to the next level. Because if we could develop him and make him go to the next level, we have got a potential superstar on our hands, a player that could potentially be up there challenging for top awards, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I've been desperately trying to think of a better expression than this, but my question would be: is he still hungry? And I know that based on what he does outside of football, that's probably not the best term to use. But what I mean is, I just wonder whether he's hit that top ceiling. Like Dele Alli, he's getting 200 grand a week. He doesn't need any more money. He's won trophies. Is he just a bit like, am I that bothered? And that's the issue.
But that's the argument as well, because I saw this earlier, and there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, he's destined for West Ham or destined to Everton." You look at what Everton have done with Dele Alli and Van de Beek, and you're thinking, is he going to go the same way? I'd hate for Marcus Rashford to go the same way and go to a club like that. So I'd want to take him just so Howe can get to grips with him and get something out of him.
There's something there. There's definitely something there.
Definitely. But again, it's the fee. It's the fee that we pay. And to be fair, you made a really good point. You asked the question, is he hungry? He hasn't really won anything. He's won a Carabao Cup. He's won. I think he won the Europa League under Mourinho. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was
for a while. That's not
not recently. No.
I would be thinking, he should be hungrier than ever. Yeah. And maybe this is him showing how hungry he is by saying, "Now consider leaving my boyhood club in order to play football at the top level."
Do something. Yeah, it's good that he wants to leave in terms of he wants to play football. He could just keep his mouth shut and collect his 200 grand a week, couldn't he? But by the sounds of it, he doesn't want to do that. So fair play to him. Yeah. Kenny Vanson, we're looking for a striker in the summer. Do you think we'll pinch anyone from the greedy six? If so, who? And that's a very interesting question, because when I think about the big six, and we know who we're talking about, I don't necessarily think they are the big six, but we know who we're talking about. I struggle to think of anyone who I'm like, oh yeah, I'd love him. Like, obviously, I'm not going to say Salah because it's just not, it's not realistic. But what I mean is, I thought Lukaku, I thought Lacazette, and I'm just like, no.
Would you take Lukaku?
It's Lukaku, isn't it? It's Lukaku.
He's a goal machine in the right setup.
In the right setup with the right team,
he's a goal machine. Now you look at the way we're playing with Chris Wood. He could play a similar role to Chris Wood.
He'd thrive in that.
But he would score goals. And that's a question. Like, it's whether he would want to be at 29, 30 years old, be part of another project. He was at a project under Man United when he left from Everton, bagging goals. At Everton, he had the whole team literally evolved around him. He was a unit. He was the goal scorer.
Yeah,
he was scoring goals for fun. He then went to Man United where he wasn't that guy. If we were to make him that focal point, but then it's all about the fee. It's all about whether he's hungry enough to still achieve at that level, which I think he is. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, interesting. It would probably, out of everyone, it would probably be Lukaku. But whether or not we get him or not, I don't know. Helen Craig asks, you'll love this one. Which winger would you look at in the summer? We only have Maxi, Fraser and Murphy competing at the moment. And it's a great question.
Okay. There's a couple. Okay. And they're not necessarily established players. There's Jeremy Doku that's playing in France at the moment. I think it's Rennes he plays for. He plays for Rennes. Only 18, 19.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Belgian international, left winger, predominantly left-footed. He's kind of like, he went there quite young from Belgium, and I was quite surprised when Rennes got him. Talented boy. He's destined for the top. He's a good player. He's a young player. They signed him for a fair bit, so it cost a little bit of money. But the player that I would like to get is currently playing at Ajax, and his name's Anthony.
Yes,
Brazilian.
Yeah.
What a player. If you're going to go out and make a statement signing for a young Brazilian super talent to add to our already growing Brazilian contingent, it would be a great signing for a winger. Someone that's kind of left field, someone that's out there, someone that not a lot of people are talking about. Anthony would come in and really tear things up. He really would. However, Fumby, friend of the channel, NUFC Matters and Loaded, he put out there today on one of my chats about Ousmane Dembele. He's playing regular a little bit more now at Barcelona and playing very, very well. Still no contract information been sorted with Barcelona. Could potentially be on a free. If he stays fit, could be a great question and a great question mark and a great signing potentially in the summer also. Because look, when fit, Ousmane Dembele is a top player. The only problem is how often he's going to be injured and on the treatment table. So there are some options out there, and we've already talked about Marcus Rashford as being another option as well. So there's a few. Anyone from you?
I would probably say, like, and we keep repeating it, I'd probably say Rafinha. I would love to see Rafinha coming in on that right. Maybe have a look at Ismail Assar from Watford, especially if they go down. I think he would be a really interesting one. Probably those two for me. But again, we were linked with so many players.
What about this one?
I'd stay well clear. I'd stay well clear. I really would. Although I don't think there's any question in his desire and his want to succeed. I don't question that at all with Zaha. My only concern is that I have questions over his attitude. I think, like, if he didn't play or if he was dropped or subbed or stuff like that, I'm not sure on his. For me, we've got the best left winger in the league. Don't think we need him.
Yeah, fair point. Definitely.
Yeah.
I took your comment off 1 second.
No, don't worry. That was just about you getting a tattoo with "I Love Lee" on it.
Is that Jordan T for life?
Yeah, it was. We've got a few more to go, but I'm conscious we're gonna have to shoot because we are approaching 3 hours. So I'm just gonna ask you these ones dead quick, Pete. For me, this is an easy answer. Would you keep Manquillo? Yeah, 1,000,000%. This one is an interesting one from Andy Brett, and this is a nice way to finish actually, because this is a question for me and you personally. So, question for Pete and Chris: what was or is your playing position? So I'll let you go first, Pete.
I was nothing more, nothing less. I was a striker, all about scoring goals. Absolutely love playing. I only retired from playing back in December. It was December 2020 due to a number of persistent injuries, but loved it. Absolutely loved playing football. Scoring goals was my obsession. I was one of them where if I'd not scored goals, I weren't happy. But actually, I got a number of assists as well. Interesting. And this is why, from a striker point of view, this is why I have a lot of sympathy with Chris Wood, because I had to change my game partway through my career because I had a year and a half where I couldn't play because of a really bad back injury. And then I got back into playing, but playing that on the last man striker, making those darting runs in and behind, I couldn't do that because my back wasn't up to it. So I had to change my game and play a Chris Wood role, occupy the two centre backs, back to goal, win the flick-ons, hold the ball up. So I understand his role a little bit in the game. Obviously, didn't play at a professional level. I was kind of like semi-pro, but I had to play that role, so I understood that you couldn't always score in that game because your role was to occupy the centre-backs to allow others to get in and behind. So when I see him playing the way he does and he doesn't score, I don't get mad at it because I can see what he gives to the team.
Yeah.
What about you?
I had a bit of a funny one, really, Pete. I started out as like a right midfield. I won't say wing because we didn't back in the day. We didn't play like that. Right midfield because I was quite quick. Then I moved up as striker because I'm good at finishing. I've got a decent shot on me. Then I moved back into central midfield, probably because I've slowed down a bit. But I'm good on the ball. Do you know what I mean? And then now I play five-a-side every week, and I tend to play in like a bit of a holding position. I like to think of myself as a bit of a Jonjo Shelvey, Pete. I'm not going to lie. I spot some passes and like. Yeah, I don't reckon other people see them, but that's just me. But yeah, I've played footy since I was a kid. Absolutely love it. And yeah, do you know what? Do you know what? We'd have to try and we'll have to try and speak to the boss. We'll have to try and speak to Steve, or maybe have a word with the loaded lads and see if we can. You know, they do those events, don't they, where you can play at St James's. It'd be great to do that, wouldn't it? Just get us all involved. That'd be fantastic. That.
It's like those soccer sixes, isn't there?
Yeah. I'd love to do it. Oh, I'd love to do it. It'd be great.
My brother played in one of them.
Did he?
At St James's Park. He played at St James's Park and Ellen Road for the soccer sixes.
Oh, nice.
And so I went with him to the St James's Park, and I think he played on the same team as Peter Beardsley. Yeah.
Wow.
And then he played at Ellen Road. He played with I don't watch it anymore, but I played one of the guys from EastEnders. I think he's always on Keith Lemon's channel. I can't remember what his name is.
Danny Dyer.
Joe Swash.
Oh, Joe Swash. Yeah.
He played on there. So he's been lucky enough to play at a couple of soccer sixes. But
wow.
I would love to do it. The next soccer sixes, put in a NUFC matter stroke loaded team.
So good.
5-6 aside.
So
let's
good.
do it. Let's roll back the years.
Yeah, defo. Hey, I reckon we get some people coming as well. It'd be good. Do you know what? It'd be a really good laughing if we could raise some money for the food bank. It'd be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Definitely.
Really was. So we'll have to speak to Steve about that. See what he thinks.
Come on, Steve. You know what?
Get Steve in goal. We know Steve plays in goal off goal, don't we?
Yeah,
off the film goal. Get him in goal. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah. I think we'll have to park it there. I think there's about another 15 questions, people. I'm gonna leave it there because there was a few of them are duplicated. To be fair, Oh, we'll tell you what. I'll do one last one. If Everton go down, do you think they'd let Lampard rebuild?
Yes, and the reason being is because I don't see their part owner being there long term. Is it Usmanov?
Yeah.
I don't see him being there long term, so I think they're not going to be in a position to release him from his contract. So and because of his relative success in the Championship, with Derby, I think he'll get another crack.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it'll be the same because I think there'll be a lot of players that will leave. Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, Decor, Allen, Pickford. There are maybe a couple of others that would not be able to stay playing in the Championship at Everton. I think there'll be a number of players that will leave. And so it would be a very different looking Everton team if they were in the Championship. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting.
It will be. I hope if that does happen, I hope he gets given the chance because I think he'd bring them back up. I do. And if Mashiri stays, I'm sure he'll pump some money into them. But yeah, I can't even believe we're talking like this. Like £500 million, and this is what they've got. And let's be honest, Pete. Like we said, we went through that lineup before. They need to buy 6 or 7 new players in the 11.
Yeah,
it's worrying times. And what are they going to do when Richarlison gets off or Dominic Calvert-Lewin?
They're going to have to spend that money wisely. And we were very lucky that we had Rafa Benitez that were able to attract players into the Championship and had the money behind him to do that. But if they lose Usmanov, Everton are already in debt every season because they're plowing more money into their club than actually what they're getting out of it. So that money could potentially get swallowed up in the Championship, which is in a different situation.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yeah, look at this. Life goals. Pete up top, me on the wing, Prime Ferdinand and Solano. There you go. There you go.
I'm not the tallest, but I've got a great spring on me, and I have to get up in the air and win a header. But yeah, put that ball right into the area, and I'll be there on the end of it. There's no doubt about it. There we go.
But yeah, I'll leave it there, Pete. I'll leave it there for the comments. But yeah, massive thank you to everyone for all the questions. Sorry if we didn't get to your question. We'll have to try and wrap up a bit early next week with the viewers, won't we, Pete? The guests, so that we can spend a bit more time on the questions because some of them honestly are really,
we've still got
good.
24 starred that we haven't even got through.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's loads, absolutely loads, and we could spend another hour, 2 hours talking about them. We really could. We're gonna have to restrict our guests a bit, aren't we? Because, like I say, some of the comments and questions that come in from the chat are really, really good. So yeah, always thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for getting involved. It means the world to me and Pete. And these shows, like we always say, that they're not the same without you all. They're really not.
Definitely. But another fans forum, 5-minute rant in the bank. Let's pray for 6 points, potentially 4, the next time we see you guys
Yes.
on our show. Massive thanks to everyone in the chat. As always, fantastic questions, fantastic chat. And thank you again, Chris, joining us, being part of the dream team. And again, we'll be back next week. Have a fantastic week. Stay safe and pray for another win on Thursday. You guys take care. Speak to you soon.